ain't a breathing soul that's innocent, or a beating heart that's too far gone. Lay your eyes across from mine. Tell me where you'd like to go, 'cause it's all that matters now, and I'd really like to know. We are stumbling through our own mind, through the heartache, through these hard times. And if you'll have me, we can fight the tide, treading water, long for the light. Trying to wear your shoes, doing my best to understand. It's got you singing the blues. No, I've been known to play the same hand. Young at heart, old in soul, I've got faith we won't burn up in the fire. And if we end up smoldering ashes, you can tell me that I was alive. We are stumbling through our own mind, through the heartache, through these hard times. And if you'll have me, we can fight the tide, treading water, long for the light. We are stumbling through our own mind, through the heartache, through these hard times. And if you'll have me, we can fight the tide, treading water. I'm long for the ride. I came across an Axeman way out in the hill. He was cutting down the pines and sending them straight off to the mill. And with each hearty blow, in a flurrying of the birds, I stopped in mid-swing with some questions and some words. And I said, you've got your house, and I've got wood for my stove. So why you still cutting trees way out in the grove? And he said, it makes my heart sad and it makes my body sore, but people out there are still wanting more. Oh, people out there are still wanting more. I came across a marksman way out on the plain. She was cutting down the beasts and leaving them right out in the rain. And with each shot of a rifle, with a flurrying of the birds, I stopped her in a pause with some questions and some words. And I said, you've got your meals, and I'm wearing my fur. So why you still out cutting beasts way out in the dirt? She said, it makes my heart sad, and it makes my shoulder sore. But people back home are still wanting more. Oh, people back home are still wanting more. Oh, people back home are still wanting more. She was maybe 4 or 5. The grass was laying dead at her feet. There were tears in her eyes. And with each morning sob, I felt a tear of my own. I took her by the hand and offered to help her find her home. And she said, this is the place, or at least it used to be, before the birds disappeared, before they went and cut the trees. And with each life that was lost, our voices were ignored. Well, where were you? Why didn't you do more? And the people out there, they still wanted more. Well, where were you? Where didn't you do more? And the people out there were left with nothing more. Well, I beg your forgiveness if I seem out of line or out of touch with these modern times. I live in a world doesn't make sense to me. Plus, I just read a book says my will ain't free. I'm a blue-collar boy from the heart of the Midwest, but I sing a damn good song with the best. But it ain't always about what you say, 'cause there's a big machine, there's a game to play, yeah. Ooh, whoa, looking for something deeper in the skin. Ooh, whoa, looking for understanding deep within. Well, I walk these city streets now, trying my best to avoid confrontations of the things I detest. People looking down, heads in the clouds, staring at them phones, got me thinking that I should go back to school, I should get a different plan, 'cause I don't stand a chance against the phones in your hand. This business ain't for the faint of heart. Got me thinking that it ain't too late to restart, but I'll keep looking for something deeper in the skin. Whoa, looking for understanding deep within. Got me thinking now. Whoa, looking for something deeper in the skin. Whoa, looking for understanding. cut short in one breath. Now I've got this little tiny voice in my mind saying, you've got time, you've got time, you've got time.
Deeper than the skin.
And when you've got life, and there will be new jobs and new experience and new changes and there'll be questions. This I assure you, there will be questions. Get used to waking up early. Hope you don't mind staying out late. You are no friend of the sun. Some days it gets hotter than hate. Oh, the smell of the diesel. I can't even hear myself think. Well, them ties won't get replaced without everyone on the line. I hear that they're burning. Just don't lose your head in the meantime. Whoa. In the fields with an axe and a shovel, just like our fathers did. There's dark storm clouds on the horizon, 800 and we'll call it quits. Oh, out in the downpour, I can't even hear myself think. Oh, no. Will them ties won't get replaced without everyone on the line. I hear that there's good day. Just don't lose your head in the meantime. Whoa. Today I thought I might die. My ears were pounding, pain like knives, and I thought that my grave would lie lonely on the side of that grave. Seeing stars, my head throbbed, wondering what it'd be like if my heart did stop. Reaching out into the black, I don't know what brought me back. 3 wide we march off the main line, get packed into the back of a van, get home for 6 hours shut eye, come back and we'll do it again. Those ties won't get replaced without everyone on the line. I hear that there's good day. Just don't lose your head in the meantime. Whoa.
What's the device called again?
It's the M audio one.
Is it USB audio codec?
It should be.
There we go.
Yeah. Are we getting it now?
Yeah, I think we're good. I think it's a little quiet. Do you wanna?
I mean, like if I strum the guitar a little bit. Oh, there we go. It's coming through on the stream now.
Nice. Wait. I feel like, is my mic gain turned down?
Did you switch it back on?
Mm-hmm.
I can turn it up.
Hello.
I'm not.
Hello.
You must have unplugged something. Oh, I hear that.
Hello. Oh, something was.
Must be a poopy cord.
Yeah. That's all right. Yeah, there we go. We'll reduce that a little bit. Are you coming through?
Oh yeah, I'm coming through.
Cool. Well, welcome everyone once again to the second installment of my podcast, The Quest for Why, where I get to talk to my friends about the human experience and sort of why we do what we do. Tonight is the first time we'll be sort of emphasizing the sort of music and the arts. Last week we got a chance to play chess with my good friend Pat, talk about how strategy games and games in general, sort of their psychological implications on humans. So that was a lot of fun. You can check that on YouTube, unedited right now. It's just the full, 3.5 hours, but we'll get a highlight video soon. And then next week, you'll hear from the man who you just heard from, Clayton Ryan, and the Singing Mountain. I don't know if is that still his shtick?
Yeah.
Yeah, Clayton Ryan and the Singing Mountain. He'll be right here singing some tunes and talking some life. So that'll be fun. And we'll also, next week is a twofer. Run Wilson is also going to be coming to town. That would be my Hombres band. They are releasing an album in the next month or so, or maybe 2 months. And next week they're going to release a single. They're going to premiere it on stream and then release it shortly after for streaming everywhere. So that'll be fun. But this week, instead of our regularly scheduled Dungeon Masters, we had a conflict. So instead it's just me and my pal Thomas Gumpper, just like old times.
In the Piazza booth.
Yeah. He's going to play some tunes for us. He's got his guitar and some music for us. So, yeah. Do you want to start with a tune?
Yeah, actually, let's do that.
Cool. Do you want to talk about it first or just get into it?
Yeah, we can. I can talk about it a little bit, and then we'll talk about it more after. That'd be fun.
Cool.
But let's see. I was gonna start with.
Was it Jump Ship Solution?
Yes, that one.
Yeah. I'm curious about the title, by the way.
Yeah. So I guess I thought of I don't know, like jump ship. It's just like kind of giving up on something and basically just being like everything, like it's kind of like a last resort kind of thing, right? Like the ship's going down,
desperation,
jump ship, and like just kind of like it's not worth like trying to bail out the water or whatever. So like and then jump ship solution is just a kind of a joke because it's not really a solution.
Yeah, it's kind of an oxymoron.
Right, but for some people, like they just kind of like abandon something instead of trying to sort out the problems with it.
Yeah.
So for me, I guess that's kind of the mentality of the song. And so jump ship solution. That's where that comes from.
Nice.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on it so far?
On the tune or on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah, giving up on something rather than like it's really just a laziness thing, right? You know.
Yeah. Or like overwhelming,
Yeah. I'll put my monitor down so I can see you. There we go.
Yeah. I guess like I mean it seems it's pretty simple, I guess, idea, but I like no more light, no more sound, no more noise. It can be like sound, or I mean like noise in like video is like a distortion kind of. Yeah. So yeah, your mic went out. There you go.
Hello. There we go.
But like like, and then hound to ring and hound, just like I mean dogs to hound, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then yeah, I just like I don't know. I guess I think it's pretty straightforward, but
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Once you mentioned like the situation, the context, yeah, that's real. Do you have any like like what was your inspiration for song? I was gonna.
right.
I mean, what is your inspiration for songwriting? Period. I guess just for like viewer
Yeah.
context and me, honestly. I mean, I kind of have a general idea
Right,
of where
I
you
think
get your stuff.
I don't know. I guess I get my inspiration. I mean, you could try to get it all over, right? I guess with this song, I was just in my parents' garage one night on a keyboard, and I came up with that sort of like. It was a lot different feel. It was like just kind of slower, but I liked the chord progression. I was messing around with like triads over different bass notes, and just kind of like trying to, because I have like, for instance, because this is like E flat over C, so you got C minor, and then like D over C, so like D7, and then it goes to like an F over B flat, which is where you get some nice sounds there.
Yeah, those are all super open.
Yeah. And then this one's my favorite, which is the D flat over C. Yeah. And I guess like I had like the night when I was messing around with that chord progression, I'd written a lot more stuff that was kind of strange like that, but I didn't use all of it. I guess that's another thing is like I'm not quite sure where the lyrics came from. I kind of just liked that idea of like isolation and like thinking about some people that I know, certain feelings that I've had, and then just kind of like there's just I think the society we live in is just very stressful, and it just it seems very fucked up and not right.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I definitely feel like to an extent we're sort of incentivized to jump ship rather than spend the time to do something right.
Right. Yeah, because actually like making lasting change in society is a very hard thing to do.
It's hard when everything changes every day.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I guess one line that was kind of a breakthrough for me was like, see how everyone is burning up in fear. I kind of like that one because like it makes me think of like Daryl Davis, who's this guy, and I don't know if I'd necessarily listen to him when like sometimes things pop out when you're writing, and then you kind of mull over them a bit, and then you hear some things that other people talk about, and you're like, oh yeah, I kind of like, maybe this line connects in that way. So like I just remember Daryl Davis, who is a boogie woogie, like blues piano player. He, aside from like being a musician, is also like a sort of activist with talking to like KKK members, and he's actually gotten a couple of them to leave the KKK, and he's sort of like changed some people's worldview just by connecting with people and talking to them. But one of the things he was talking about was how fear can exacerbate some of these tensions.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, like, being a black man, fearing that, these racists that he's talking to are going to be violent, or them fearing that he's going to be violent, and how that the expectation from both sides can actually manifest into reality where neither side wants to actually be violent.
Yeah.
So,
sort of like Cold War
yeah.
of emotions.
Right.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
And then also like see how I can love the taste of the air, because it's like, I mean, like, obviously like breath of fresh air and all that is nice, but like the taste, I think in my mind implies that it's you can't eat air, right?
Yeah.
So like it's like I don't know, maybe that's a little more abstract, but like like especially for someone who's trying to isolate themselves and delude themselves into thinking that is going to be a actual long-term solution, because we're also social beings,
Yeah.
So like
It's also sort of see how I can taste the fresh air.
love the taste of
Love
the
the
air.
taste of the air.
Mhm.
It's like, it's almost cocky. Like I can separate myself from everything else and just like,
Yeah.
this is all I need.
Right. Yeah, it is cocky. I did
Yeah.
intend it to be a little cocky.
Yeah.
And then I used a double negative. I don't have no more crosses left to bear. It's like you do have some crosses still to bear, because
I didn't notice that.
you can't be human and just like not have strife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the first tune of, I don't know, whatever, five
I
or
think
six.
7.
Or 7. When I was looking through, I'll let you mull this over before I actually ask the question, but I think like all but one of them, you mentioned burning or fire or something. I don't know if you noticed that, but
Yeah.
we'll come back to that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess just like I think when I try to write. I mean, like sometimes like referencing specific things and like kind of niche things can be fun, but at least when I was trying to write some of this stuff, I wanted it to be because some of these songs I've had for a while. So definitely like when I was starting writing, I was trying to be a lot more accessible in some ways, and I think a lot of good songwriters can use like natural symbols, like the sun, the moon,
That's like
fire, water.
It's like the easiest to. It's good imagery.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus, it's very like biblical.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of stuff you can pull from there. So
I'm gonna see if I can turn down my display brightness. I'm blinded over here. Yeah. No, it's okay. Yeah. Well. You want to play another tune?
I can. I was just gonna tune it a
Sure.
little bit. Do you have anything else you want to ask?
Yeah. I was gonna ask how it's felt to, like, for both your life in general and your musicianship skills and just your general idea of music, how it's been to not have to be in classes.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
Well, because like when I'm in class, it's so much harder to write because you don't. I have to put so much of my I only have so much mental space in a day, right?
Yep.
And it's just all occupied on especially because I gotta work too, so it's work and school and then extracurricular things, and then I want to also socialize, and so I don't really have a lot of time to myself.
Yeah.
But I do now, and so it gives me a lot of time to sort of like kill time or let my mind wander. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And then
I-
like when you let your mind wander, I get inspired because I find things that inspire me a lot more.
Right. Yeah. I've noticed. I've only recently sort of gotten into like creative processes. I normally am not like a like make something myself person, but lately I've been getting into it, and it's not like it's really hard to sit down and tell yourself to like do that.
Right.
But when you have a bunch of time on your hands and you can just like experience sort of what's going on,
There is
you kinda
something
just get
to be said
stuff.
about like just grinding and getting it done and finding something through that, but I don't think you're gonna like, especially when you're writing like lyrics and you want to
Yeah.
write things that matter and like things that apply to your life, but not just your life, but hopefully applies to your life and to other people's lives.
Yeah.
Like that's a hard thing to tap into.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that what you think?
Yeah.
Is that what you think music is? What do you think the purpose of you creating music is? Is it for you or is it for other people?
Both.
Yeah.
Like if I couldn't make music, I would go crazy.
Yeah.
But also like, you know, the idea is that you want to make stuff that you like, you want to do it for yourself, but you also want to do it in a way that you hopefully can communicate to others, you know, or at least, you know, and like sometimes they're niche things, you know, but other times they're not. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I just like, you know, like I guess you can think of like things like death grips, you know, they're not for everybody, but for the people that do enjoy it, you know, it really resonates with them.
Right. Yeah.
And I guess I kind of want to be able to move. I want to be as versatile as I can be. Just because, I mean, it helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess your background sort of helps with that. I feel like being versed in jazz, classical, pop, you know,
Yeah. Rock.
yeah,
All that. Like I definitely got started with, you know, a lot of like rock music was like what I grew up on, stuff like that. But and you know, I played jazz in high school, but then like actually getting to college and having to play jazz instead of just reading a part, you know, like that has helped so much. And then like getting that theory knowledge beefed up,
getting it whipped into you
right,
by
and
Dr.
then-
Bob.
Yeah, and then the act like the jazz is the application of it, and then the classical is also really awesome. Like what I like about classical actually is it's helped me kind of navigate the guitar a lot better than maybe just like jazz has helped too, because there's certain jazz voicings that you use, but like classical has you know, like a bass part and a melody, and then you got the, you know, the other notes filling in the space in between, and then you also get like fun little like picking patterns. Helped with get my fingers kind of worked up and like finger picking, and I've done a little bit of that before, like kind of like you know. You know, stuff like that, wherever. But it's very different, you know, doing classical kind of stuff. But yeah, no, and I you know, I want to when it comes to music listening, I just want to listen to everything. And there was a certain switch that flipped during high school where I was like started listening. I went from being one of those kind of indie hipster people where it's like I don't listen to that mainstream crap, and like now like I don't want to, because like, you know, if people are listening to it, that means there's something that resonates with people. So if you just like avert your eyes to it, then you're only doing yourself a disservice. You know, like there's a lot of things that it's taken me time to appreciate, you know.
Oh yeah. Pop music in particular, like pop music, like whatever top 40 or whatever,
right,
has actually grown on me the older I've gotten, because I sort of see the niche it fills. I mean, it's not a niche. I guess that's the point of it being popular music. But like I see the purpose it serves, and yeah, I sort of that's sort of like a quest of mine, is to I think actually you were one of the first people to like talk to me. Like that's kind of when I started changing my mind, is when we were talking about that kind of stuff, like early in college, especially hip hop actually.
Yeah.
And ever since I've sort of changed my ways, it's been a mission of mine to do that to others, because it's honestly a form of like musical bigotry if you think about it.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I remember when I took AP Theory in my senior year of high school, our orchestra teacher, who's awesome. But I think we were just asking some questions one day, just in general. And it was, I think I asked like, what music genres do you not like? And like rap was one of them. And I mean, that's kind of, or maybe it was like, what's your least favorite one? And yeah. And like I remember that kind of struck me as like, I mean, yeah, I get it, but also like, I mean, there's things you can do in hip hop that you can't achieve in other forms, you know. Yeah. I mean, that's actually like, for me, kind of recently, I've been getting into some older, more classic hip hop kind of stuff, and like just today, I was watching this movie Babylon that was about like the dub reggae sound system scene of like this was in was it Brixton in the UK, and like it was just really cool. It was like seeing like the Jamaican culture and sort of theology to some degree that was embedded in the music, and like this because it was like rapping is kind of like what that scene was a little bit about, except it's called dub. So basically they'd take like a reggae track and they have it on like a like DJ board or something like that, and then they'd like kind of like rap sing over it, and there's like a lot of truth, like that they're trying to, it's very like kind of protest too, a little bit like counterculture. So I thought that was really interesting, and it's stuff like that like you're not going to get if you just listen to the Billboard Top 100,
Yeah.
Like you got to really dig for that stuff, because there's a whole rich history that isn't, that if you're not in that culture, then you miss out on it.
Yeah, and I feel like when you get into like the cracks, like the fringe, that's, at least for me, that's where I always get the stuff that's the most, I guess, relatable. That's kind of a cliche word as far as like music and art, but it's like you sort of wade through everything that is like, yeah, that's music, and then you find something that's like maybe wouldn't appeal to everyone, but it really hits you. I feel like you have to get into a niche to really find like that,
right?
Yeah,
right. Yeah. I just love just like finding new things, and like when you find a song that like you can't find Genius annotations for, or like there's no comments about it, you can barely find any videos on YouTube of people talking about it, you're like, this is cool. Now I get to, because it's like I mean, I like searching other people's opinions and figuring out, because you get certain like one thing I like about the Beatles is that there's so much information on them.
Everything is
it fleshes out their history really well.
Yeah, and everything is like an allegory.
Right. Yeah. But like then there's also fun in just coming up with your own interpretations, and like that's a skill that is hard to develop. At least, I mean, it took a while for me, personally, just to be able to read lyrics and kind of like actually start to understand most of it. You know, like,
I mean, well, if you think about it, that's like a pretty advanced skill. I feel like you have to try and put yourself in the person who wrote them's like shoes and understand what they were going through, that they felt they needed to say that.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, it's kind of I think that's a more intense skill than we sometimes give credit for. Yeah.
Do this next one.
Yeah.
So this is I had, this was like a riff I had like for like a couple years, and I didn't know what to do with it until I came up with this other bit later, but it's like included some other stuff, but
Yeah, nice.
but yeah, you'll hear that pop up in this one.
Cool. Oh, let me pull up some lyrics real quick.
I thought I found you, wrapped up together in your sheets. Now it seems you're on the run again. No one could touch you without loyally lying at your feet, but it's creeping through the cracks again. Your face is on fire in a funeral pyre. Sweet tainted reverie, lost in a fog of memory. I feel your heart beating in time with mine, but soon it starts to phase. Memories come down off the stage, and what seemed to drum on and on reveals to be a passing tone, like building up a Babylon to beacon tongues on telephone. Sparks that flew in passion were just lighting off the fuse that blew this heart to a hungry dark. Faces on fire in a funeral pyre. Sweet tainted reverie, lost in a fog of memory. Lost in the fog of memories. I thought I'd found you. Now it seems you're on the run again.
So I'll probably do this where I want your interpretation before I give my little thing.
Yeah, actually, let me pull up the lyrics again. I love the, you call it an instrumental reverie.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah. I in the demos I've recorded, it's more layered. So
Let's see, there we go. Yeah, what is your face is on fire in a funeral pyre?
Your face is on fire in a funeral pyre, to sweet tainted reverie,
Yeah.
lost in a fog of memory. I guess I mean, it's not about like one person specifically, but it has to do with some of my experiences with like relationships or like friendships, and I guess the whole song started with like I thought I'd found you, which was kind of like, oh, it's just a nice, like it evokes so much, so like that was like a starting point, and that was like the seed for
Yeah.
the rest of the song.
And it already like casts doubt.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's also like past tense. I'm also switching tenses a lot, which kind of helps with because it's not, it's supposed to be like more meditative. It's not like this is this point in time and this is all in the past, because it's like some of these emotions too, they can still be experienced even after a relationship's over. So you still kind of, especially when you remember things, but your face is on fire, meaning like I don't know you, like I thought I knew you, and like now it seems like it's all gone up in flames. It's like it just feels very much like you are become disconnected with someone.
Yeah.
Or like you thought you knew them, maybe you knew a part of them or them at a certain point in life, and now it's changing. But
Yeah.
and then in a funeral pyre, because it's like it's over, the relationship's over, and or at least it's not what it was, and so you have to, it's the whole thing of like you can't go back, you know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of about that nostalgia, I guess, is if you wanted to boil the whole song into one word, is nostalgia.
Yeah, no, the instrumental reverie definitely like yeah, that encapsulates it, I feel like. Yeah.
And to sweet tainted reverie. Reverie is like kind of like kind of like daydreaming, like very like happy. I forget what the exact definition is, but yeah, no. And it feels kind of tainted because it's it's no longer, or it can feel tainted. But yeah, and then lost in a fog of memory, because that's just how memory works. Is like whatever you are able to cling on to, or whatever you're able to remember with other people is what lasts. So there's things that happen that are forgotten, or like certain details are messed up or like obscured.
Yeah. Especially in that sort of context. A fog is a really good, I feel like that's a really good term, because when you have so much like emotion or experience wrapped up in like any single thing, it's really easy to remember a few things and the rest of it is just like a blur. You can only like attribute sort of blanket statements to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I kind of messed up some of the lyrics there, but then the second time is lost in a flood of memories. Just because I kind of forgot I added that little variation, just because that's kind of more of a recent addition, I think. But because I repeated it, so I was like, well, let me just kind of fudge it up a little bit, add a little bit more depth.
Yeah, spice is the how does it go? Spice is the variety is the spice of life.
Yeah, there you go. And I guess like the hardest part for me is like the bridge. Like I feel your heart beating in time with mine, but soon it starts to phase as we come out of this daze or come down off this daze. What seemed to drone on and on is more music analogies. What seemed to drone on and on reveals to be a passing tone, like building up a Babylon to speak in tongues on telephone.
Yeah, that is just laced. Yeah, wow, that's thick.
The sparks that flew in passion were just lighting off a fuse that blew this hearth to a hungry dark.
Dang.
Yeah. I'm pretty proud of that one.
Yeah, so far that
was like a good breakthrough moment.
Yeah, that's poetry. Wow.
And then I guess the other thing that, because I think I had Yeah, this was kind of I struggled with, because this was one that I started writing, before I had really gotten into it and figured out how to do it
Yeah.
right, or what I wanted to do with songwriting,
Mhm.
like, so I had some other verses that I forgot and I lost. I don't have them written down anywhere.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I do, but I haven't found them. So
Deep in an iPhone notes section.
yeah.
or something.
But yeah, I just there's something about this song, like, it's just hard to crack, because like you don't want to come off as like whiny incel,
Yeah.
like you want it to be, and you also don't want to be like, that's a lot of like breakup songs can sound too critical of the other person, you
Yeah.
know, and like I want to be fair in what
Yeah.
I write, I want to, because I don't want to have my ego, all over it, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like, I want personality in it, and it's gotta come from me, so it'll
Mhm.
have me in it. But you want to, like, I didn't want to be just like too harsh and like you are awful, and because I kind of like how at the end, I thought I'd found you, now it seems I'm on the run again. So it kind of flips it. And I guess
Yeah.
just like, I don't know, because you can look at it both ways. There's always some part of the blame that you have to take for yourself, right? So
Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. Well, yeah. The more I look at this, the more I pick up on the first. I thought I'd found you is like I said, like casting doubt. I feel like, and it's sort of like almost negative. I mean, it is like
Right.
slightly negative, and then in the end, it's like I thought I'd found you. Well,
yeah.
looks like back to square one. Here
Right.
we go.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Plus, and the kind of form of it, it's like, I thought I'd found you wrapped up together in your sheets. Now it seems you're on the run again. And then instead of, I thought I'd found you, and then instead of like wrapped up together, blah blah blah, I just leave space.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it kind of, yeah. That was a fun moment where I'm like, oh,
Yeah, that's
Like,
also poetic.
yeah.
That's nice. I also I just love the word reverie.
I know, right?
That's like
I picked that up from it was an album with Kurt Vile and Courtney Barnett, and what is it? Reverie. There's I think it's maybe like the second track off of that or something. What time do you usually wake up? Depends on what time I sleep. It's that one, but so I picked up that word. I was just like, ooh, that's a good word.
Yeah.
Reverie.
Yeah. I took a lot of I took many years of piano lessons growing up, which didn't end up paying off very well, as you know. And one of the tunes that stuck with me was Debussy's Reverie. That was where I learned that word, and yeah, it definitely stuck. I mean, it is French, so I guess that makes sense.
Right.
Why it's so like,
yeah,
I don't know.
It's just good because it evokes a kind of like dreamlike, because there's something about like that dreamlike state that's very euphoric, but can also just like, it feels, when you wake up from it, it feels like oh, that wasn't real. you know?
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, it's just like what kind of delusion was I in? Especially when you're like, oh, because especially like the honeymoon stages of a relationship, can feel just like, what was going on there? Like,
Yeah.
was that real, or was that
it's
chemical
a
reaction,
haze,
or
yeah.
what?
Yeah. Well. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a keeper. That was one of your early ones, you said?
Yeah, well,
Early tune?
I guess I've had that written, like, finished. It's about like 2018. Yeah, 2018, 2019.
Nice. When did you start songwriting?
I think, well, I started in high school, like, trying to write songs, and I don't think I think there was one song that I'd finished probably like 2015 or something like that. but I didn't, or 2015, 2014, but I like forgot how to play it. I still kind of remember it. And it was just like a quick short song. But then the first one that I actually like finished, I wrote over the summer of 2017. I wrote it in like 2 days, or actually like 24 hours, I think.
Wow.
Because like I went home after work, and like my parents were on vacation, and then I was just like, because I was just gonna stay home and work, which turned out to be good because they had car trouble issues. But then so I was also like going through this kind of like summer fling sort of thing, so there was just a lot of stuff going on, and I channeled that into a song because I just started messing around with chords, trying to write something like Mac DeMarco.
Yeah.
A little bit. It kind of sounds like it, but whatever. And then so then it was really quick, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. I was just listening to it on repeat of the demo that I made at work the next day, and then went and kind of refined some things and recorded it. So yeah, that took about 24 hours, like 1 to 2 days to write, and then I haven't really edited it, since like maybe I think I added just a little bit, but as far as the lyrics, they've stayed the same since 2017. So
yeah, wow,
that was like the first.
It's pretty insightful for. Were you 18, 19?
I would have been, I think,
20.
Yeah,
19,
yeah.
20.
No, I would have been 19. Yeah.
My mom just said that my dad said, "Just think where I'd be without piano lessons," which is true. It's true. Definitely very useful. I just can't play the piano very well
Hey,
anymore.
real quick, Donovan, you should do your orchestra assignment.
Yeah, do that. I finished it this afternoon.
Nice.
Takes a while. I spent like 7 hours on that assignment.
Ugh.
Analyzing Brandenburg No. 2 and Vivaldi. Yeah.
That's cool.
I'd much rather do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have any other questions, or should we move on?
Yeah, I had stuff, and then I started reading chat. What were we talking about before that? Songwriting.
You were like, that was pretty insightful for 19, I think is what you said.
Yeah. I was also going to ask, like, why you started songwriting. Like, did you feel you had to, or you just felt like it?
I mean, I've just really liked music for a long time.
Yeah.
And in high school I was in a band, Big Oak. Look it up on Spotify if you want to. And so my friend Joe wrote all those songs, and I guess after doing that, I was like, oh, I can, like, you can actually do something with this, and like it doesn't necessarily matter. You just have to get some people together, and especially with like seeing how recording technology worked. Like I was like really into it at that point, and that solidified it. But I started writing before that a little bit, and I think I tried to write a little bit anyways, like for my freshman year of high school. But I spent more time learning songs at that point, which is good because then you kind of learn how to write by learning songs. So, but I also, I guess, just wanted recognition, like something that I can kind of show off, or I kind of want to be like, see, I have all these ideas, like, like, but I guess I'm not always the most articulate, or at least I wasn't the most articulate with some of these ideas. So songwriting is a good way to have it sort of, like refine it in private and then present it. Yeah. And then also just, I like the process, I mean, it was painful at first, but.
Is it usually, I mean, this last one, well, actually, both of them so far have been very, to me, poetry based. Do you start with lyrics?
Not usually, no.
Really?
No. No, usually the lyrics, well, at least at first, the lyrics just start from just random words that come out of my mouth or like just sound like it's more about the sound of the words, and then
Yeah.
sometimes like you
Interesting.
just come up with fun combinations that evoke a certain idea, and then
Yeah.
like, okay, where does that go?
Yeah, that's cool.
But especially it was hard early on because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, like, and this I don't know if this makes any sense or
Yeah.
if this is just stupid or whatever. But like now that's just part of the process,
Yeah.
you know. So like I kind of understand that and I trust it more now, and like you can always change it later.
Yeah.
It's better just to get something out and then work with it, you know.
It's kind of nice that you started, or at least tried to start early, because like the age that you mentioned, if I would have started, that would have been like my cringe phase, and I
Right.
wouldn't have been as self-conscious as if I were to like introduce a song now, you know.
Right.
So that's
Mhm.
nice.
Lyrics are the hardest.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you can come like for me writing music was a lot easier than coming up with lyrics.
Words are hard.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Because like you don't want to sound, you want to have something that's kind of profound, right? But you
Yeah.
can't just like pull profound out of your ass.
Yeah,
Like,
and you can't, if you are always, you know, all gas no break as far as lyrics or as far as anything, I'm sure, but you're gonna lose people, or I know I would lose people because I just the thought stream is not always coherent.
right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's where editing comes in.
Yeah.
And like restraint is a hard thing to learn. That's one thing like from listening to the Beatles a lot more now. Just like, I mean, they had to write radio singles, you know. So I mean, also like their early stuff is very tight, you know, like just lovey-dovey kind of stuff, but the structure and like it's just so distilled, and there's something about that that's just made me want to like really, you know, like there's one song I wrote. I'm not gonna perform it tonight, but like it kind of ends up being a long song, and I was like, okay, how can I kind of make it go faster? How can I cut it down? And for that one, I haven't really done that because like I wrote it at kind of a faster tempo, and then I added some polyrhythms to it. And so that
As
kind
you
of
do.
dragged it out
As
a
you
little
have to
bit.
do.
But it's something that I think works as like a texture. So
Yeah.
there's something to be said about longer form music too that
Yeah.
helps you kind of immerse yourself.
I
But
feel like every artist needs their like token 8-minute tune, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Would you say most of yours fall into like the 3 to 4 minute area?
I'd say like 3 to 5.
3 to 5.
Yeah.
The Beatles also had to make their songs short. Yeah, so records could hold them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Facts from Mr. Clutho.
Yeah.
I see that Just Stay is next on the
Oh, yeah.
next on the docket. We don't. I mean, no rush, but that's
Fitting
yeah,
because we were just talking about it.
yeah.
I gotta tune this string up because I used a kind of different tuning for the last one.
Has the coldness of the house affected your tuning at all?
Not too much.
That's good.
I mean, it's been sitting here, you know, for a day, so
Yeah.
I mean, my basement's arguably colder than this room right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I do remember that. Yeah, I love this.
Yeah.
This is you've done this in the presence of me probably 4 times now.
Probably, yeah. I play this one a lot. It's just
It's a good one. It's an oldie and a goodie.
right. I think the reason I like doing it is because it's simple and it's melodic. Like, it's very minimalistic, you know. And part of that is because like I didn't want to overcomplicate it when I was, because this is also like the first song that probably like the second one that I finished, but the first one where I was like, this is there's something here, and like it was also very like flash of inspiration kind of thing. So
Yeah.
you know, it's kind of about like love, which is very just very relatable. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel
I was
like
gonna,
it gets a lot of people, you know.
yeah. I was gonna ask, is this just like, is this just like your token love song, or is there any more to it? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily like about, I guess it's like about a certain kind of thing where it's like, at least for me, I was at a point where I was like, this is nice, you know, but like, where is this going, you know? And like, I mean, I think it's all kind of pretty simply stated in the song. But yeah, I just like, I don't know. It's like, it's kind of like I guess it's kind of like the thing of like, oh, I'm feeling like really happy about this, and this is super awesome, and like, you know, like kind of like a like puppy love kind of feeling sort of thing. But it's like there's maybe it's just, and at least for myself, I like when I'm in that state, it's like, okay, but like, you know, where is this going? Like, how long until this is over? Is this and like I wasn't really like necessarily having a bunch of expectations. I was just enjoying the ride as it happened. But like you know, I guess that's just the sort of thoughts that were going through my mind. And yeah, so I just liked and also just like the simplicity of the chorus, you know.
Yeah.
And it's very because I think there's something that a lot of people feel where, and I especially like myself, like I get attached kind of simply, or I just like I'm a sociable kind of extroverted person, so like, you know, to say, oh, and then this is going to end, like is rough a little bit. So
yeah.
Another love in bloom under a milky moon. I'm okay. And will we harvest soon? Can we sing these blues away? Just stay. Just stay. Just take a look and I will pray that I don't get hooked all the time it took to keep me sane, or just stay. Just stay. Just stay. Just I should tune this back up now.
Yeah. God, I can't help but hum the counter melody in the chorus.
Yeah, I know.
Ah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, it definitely does sound. I mean, that's with anything. Sounds better when it's a little more orchestrated. But
Especially with horns, as in
Mhm.
French horns.
yeah, yeah. French horn's just like such a nice, like mellow tone. You know,
Yeah.
it pairs well with stuff like that.
Yeah. Yep. They're normally pretty cool too. You know, just like good people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. As a joke, for all of you who don't know, I play the horn, so that's obviously ironic.
Yeah.
They're not all good people.
I don't know. Do you have any like questions about any more questions about that one?
I don't know. I feel like that one, everything's just right there.
I know.
You know?
It's-
That's, yeah. I don't know. You have any more insight into it?
no,
Yeah.
not really.
It's just good.
Yeah.
It's a real nice melody.
Mhm.
Nice stuff underneath. Yeah.
Yep.
Is it on Spotify or anything?
No, I'm working on getting some stuff put out at some point, but I want to make sure it's just right
Ready.
when I put
Yeah.
it out. You know.
Yeah.
You can't rush. Can't take it out of the oven too early.
Yeah.
But I've definitely like been making a lot more progress since COVID and since not being in school. So, and I've just gotten like all this gear now, so I can actually record
Yeah.
some
It's
better
exciting.
quality demos.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. There's something. Getting this set up is a really good feeling for some reason.
Yeah.
Like getting everything in the right place and like I don't know.
Like just setting this up last night
Yeah.
was really fun.
Yeah. And also something about having it be like the extra hassle of having it be a desktop and monitor.
Yeah.
Just like when it gets set up and like all the lights are going and stuff, it's like, all right, this is like real.
Yeah, it feels pretty official.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we've got the monitor headphones, you know.
Yeah.
It's not like a laptop mic.
Yeah. And you can't see this, but for some reason your mic just like looks like it's like you're in the foreground and then there's a background. There's like a real it's like a real
Oh, like it's out of focus
thing.
in the background.
Yeah.
Nice,
I mean
nice.
everything's just a little bit out, but it gives that effect.
Nice.
And yeah, the Christmas lights.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is definitely a vibe. I had originally intended on doing pretty much everything in the basement, and I didn't even consider this until I come down here or get home yesterday. I don't remember, and it's all set up here, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's sick. That's awesome.
No.
Yeah.
This table too has a lot of memories.
Yeah, yeah.
This is very much like the social gathering table.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's seen a lot. It's seen the rise and fall of civilizations. Yeah.
Well, do you have any more like questions to kind of talk about?
Get out my trusty notepad. We kind of already talked about this, but you are perhaps maybe I could maybe list a couple other people in my life, but you are perhaps the most equally balanced of the like musical persuasions that I know. Most of the people I know would tend towards the classical or jazz rather than popular.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any, I guess, reasons as to why, or like why you think that's, or how that comes about in your music?
Yeah.
Or in your life in general? I don't know.
I'll say why is probably because my dad, that's the reason why I'm like, I kind of, at least the beginning of my interest in music was because he would play guitar in the basement and I'd watch him. And so I wanted to play guitar too, although I kind of got frustrated and gave it up because my fingers were too small when I was like, because I started to try and play around like 3rd, 4th grade, I think. So I picked it up and put it down a few times. And then I actually stuck with guitar junior high, so like in 7th grade and like late 7th grade and on. It also helped that my homeroom was the music room. So
You just played all the time.
I annoyed a bunch of people just playing because I was just like, I don't know.
Nice.
But yeah, so I did that, and then but I also like I did band in 5th grade on. So I guess just like I always wanted to do like pop rock kind of stuff, but because I also did music curricularly, like that exposed me to jazz and classical stuff, and so because I also did like show choir and stuff like that, which kind of supported this other like I did all state for 2 years, my junior and senior year, and then I did like, because Iowa City West High only could do you can only take so many people to audition for all states, so we had pre-auditions. So I also went through the whole process of that my sophomore year, and in doing all that stuff, helped solidify my singing voice, and I was in a band too, and that helped with the creativity and kind of collaboration, and so all that stuff sort of just accumulated into my music taste that I have now. And then I think getting into Radiohead exposed me to a lot of other kind of like more avant-garde stuff, because like the guitarist, multi-instrumentalist Johnny Greenwood, a lot of his orchestral stuff is influenced by like Penderecki and like Reich, which like getting into like Steve Reich was like a really cool moment for me, because it was just I just love the rhythmic the complexities of that minimalistic stuff, and so all that just like was like, oh wow, you can because I think with Penderecki he studied like in like the 60s studied like electronic music, and like it tried to replicate that in an orchestra, and so that's where you get stuff like Threnody for the Victims of Hiroshima. And so Yeah, it's just really cool to just see that not all classical music has to be like
Symphonies.
Bach.
Yeah. Right.
Like,
Yeah.
well, I'm not gonna shit on Bach, but
Yeah.
you know, it's like you gotta progress. You gotta progress. You know.
Yeah.
He was great for his time, but you gotta grow past that.
Mm-hmm.
So it just sounded more modern. You know.
Yeah.
More cutting edge to me.
Yeah. When after our next Genjin Master show, we need to get a group together to do some minimalist stuff.
Yeah, like the.
I would really want to do
NC.
the Terry Riley NC, yeah, and we could do some Steve Reich stuff.
I want to
too.
see if I could work up a performance of like a movement from Electric Counterpoint, because it's all I'd have to do is record like the backing guitar parts, and then there's a live guitar part that you perform along with. So
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, maybe for the next podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Donovan said, "Clap, clap, 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 clap." I appreciate the comma placements.
Play Philip Glass. I do like Philip Glass too.
Yeah. Yeah. Who would you say your primary songwriting influences are?
Neil Young, Tom York, Bob Dylan. Let's see. Also like Nirvana, like Kurt Cobain, like Alice in Chains, like Jerry Cantrell, Lane Staley, especially like some of Lane Staley's like original lyrics and stuff, because they kind of, you know, work together and stuff. So, also, like there's like for hip hop people, maybe the influence doesn't come through as much because of the style of music I do, but like MF Doom.
Rip MF.
Yeah.
Rip Doom.
I know, but like just I think for him it's just like the playfulness, you know, and just the amount of like internal rhyme and just all kinds. Just he would just layer it on, you know, like, and then like also like, you know, Donald Glover's stuff. I don't know if I necessarily picked up like I mean all these things like kind of, you know, sit in the back of my subconscious.
It's kind of hard to
for some of those influences, but like Neil Young, Bob Dylan, Tom York, you know, like Alice in Chains and Kurt Cobain, like that stuff, like for sure, influenced me.
Do you think you take anything in particular from any of them, like that you can think of?
Like almost everything from Neil Young.
Yeah.
Like just because, I mean, his type of music is very simplistic, but I think when Neil Young's at his best, his lyrics are very kind of abstract but super evocative, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, I guess all those guys, like Bob Dylan too, is one of those guys that just layers on a bunch of rhymes and like multiple meanings, you know, multiple layers to his music. And I mean, that's kind of like I enjoy the actual music of Bob Dylan, but obviously, if it was just the music, it wouldn't have as much impact as it does with the lyrics. You know? Yeah, I guess. I mean, Black Sabbath too was like one of the earlier things that I started to learn. And then like Nirvana and like Ramones, like anything that uses power chords, is like a good starting point for me learning guitar. Let's see.
You know, for you mentioning those people as your influences, your music isn't all that hard. Is that intentional, or have you just not gotten there yet?
I don't know. I think there's challenging aspects to, especially like some Radiohead stuff. There's a lot of some like odd meters and interesting chord changes, and I mean, like even Neil Young has like interesting kind of modes that he uses sometimes. and like Nirvana, you know, for just using power chords most of the time has like a really interesting implied harmonies.
I actually, now after I phrased that question, I realized it was misleading. I meant like hard as in like going hard,
Oh yeah.
not like
Oh
difficult.
yeah.
you
No,
know?
no, no.
Obviously, it's not. It's pretty accessible too.
No, I mean I know like my stuff isn't. I mean like there's some things that I play that are hard to physically play.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess I'm just thinking like complex. Like it's not like jazz, you know.
Right.
There's not as
Yeah,
many
yeah.
changes.
Yeah.
I guess like like I like Metallica. Like I mean they're like I listen to a lot of like hard stuff, but it just I guess like a lot of those musicians are very versatile too. You know, like Bob Dylan has some pretty noisy stuff too.
Yeah.
So does Neil Young. Like he's mostly when people think Neil Young, they think of his acoustic stuff, but he's also, you know, got the title of the Godfather of grunge. You know, and you don't get that from just doing acoustic guitar stuff. Like he's is also part of like Buffalo Springfield and those guys. Yeah, they're I'm just trying to think because there's a lot, you know. I like Blind Melon too. They're like an early kind of 90s band.
Yeah, I don't know them.
I could just start listing off a bunch of stuff from my dad's CD collection.
Yeah,
And, you know, like, like Pearl, like a lot of 90s bands, you know, like Pearl Jam, because like my dad had a tab book for their album 10, so I remember learning some things from there. Like Ozzy Osbourne, I remember learning some of his stuff early on, like with Randy Rhoads, who was his original guitarist when he went solo, with like Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman. And I guess I'm trying to think because I don't know anymore like where I get my influences. It's such a wide variety. You know, I like I'll think more modern stuff like King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Those guys are awesome. And you know, that's definitely I've taken some influences from there for sure.
I guess that can kind of makes sense that you have all of those, because one of the reasons I asked is because I don't necessarily hear for you have very strong musical opinions and tastes,
Right.
and for someone like that, I don't hear like anyone in particular in your music other than like I guess I just know what you sound like.
Right.
Maybe sometimes I can hear Mac DeMarco more than
Oh
others.
yeah, Mac. I should have mentioned Mac DeMarco. That's a very obvious. It's like because I got into Mac, like right after he put out This Old Dog.
Yeah.
Because I had downloaded it on Spotify on a camping trip, and then I didn't have Wi-Fi, so I was like,
so that was it.
I'm just gonna listen to it on a loop, and then I was hooked. So, and that's a good album too.
Yeah. You know, I don't know if I was put in that situation, and I had to listen to him for the first time, you know, like for hours on end. I don't know. I don't know if I would come out liking him or hating him.
Well, I'd heard like Chamber of Reflection, and I'd listened to that, you know, a decent amount of times, but I wasn't like into his discography, you know.
Yeah.
But then after that, I was like, plus it was a lot more acoustic, kind of laid back, and plus like a lot of like very minimal instrumentation on it, and like a lot of like I think he used a CR78 drum machine on it, and it's just got a nice like retro kind of
tinny.
Yeah.
Almost.
But that was just I thought it was really cool, and just like the songwriting on it and the way he layered his guitars and you know, synths and stuff like that. It was just very also there's just very tasteful, you know.
Yeah.
So I think also the fact that it reminded me of like Harvest by Neil Young, which is a great album, like that kind of like I was able to kind of gel into it. Plus I mean, you know, when I listen to music, unless it's like crap, you know, like I can listen to it on repeat for a while because eventually your ears pick up on more things, and then you internalize it, which is the fun part.
Yeah.
Because then you get to immerse yourself in it more. Like the first time you listen to something, it's really hard to be 100% focused when you listen, you know.
Yeah, I've never understood like getting sick of music. I don't think I've ever experienced that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I'm glad for it.
Yeah.
But I know it's for a lot of people like listen like
Hearing the
not-
same
not
song
many
twice
people-
is
right,
like,
yeah.
like, oh, come on.
Not
Like
many
I already
people-
heard this. It's like,
yeah, they don't listen on
Yeah.
repeat,
Right.
which yeah,
hmm
that's like my bread and butter.
That's like part of learning a song too, is
Right.
listening
Yeah.
on repeat.
And like sort of almost learning the changes is so like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, that makes a song better for me if I know exactly what's coming next
Mm-hmm.
and can anticipate. It's like I know the hype that's coming. you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you're like waiting for the drop, but it's
Yeah.
not like a drop.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
waiting for the sharp 11 to come in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's usually what it is. That's
Yeah.
what it gets me.
Yeah,
It's
I mean, I really like choral music too.
Yeah.
I guess that's a good. Oh, like Fleet Foxes,
Mhm.
are a good influence, or like Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, like
Mhm.
just the vocal harmonies on there, and
Yeah.
like just like that kind of like, I mean, just vocal harmonies in general. Just their sound. There, I think it's probably because of like micro adjustments that the singers make that just make it resonate. Plus, like you can get like, especially when you have like a melody and then they're harmonizing with that melody, you can
Mhm.
get implied motion even if
Mhm.
even if the harmony note is like staying the same and then the
Right.
melody's moving.
Yeah.
Because you get those little like dips and inflections that match the inflection of the melody.
Mhm.
And you can't necessarily get that on like wind instruments.
Right.
Unless you like really direct them to do that.
Yeah. And I mean, they're obviously masters of wind instruments, but
Mhm.
the human voice has so much possibility for inflection
Yeah.
and nuance that I think for some reason I just feel like that's what it is. Like,
Mhm.
and we hear that and and anyone can empathize with it.
Plus lyrics.
Yeah.
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 I mean that's obviously a big thing, but I always like Tom Waits is a big influence as well. Especially just like his chord progressions and his songwriting style is cool. I don't know if I've necessarily been able to replicate that as much as I
Mhm.
have just seeing him perform his songs like
Mhm.
through the lens of inhabiting a character.
Yeah, he's a method actor. He's
Yeah.
a method performer.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And then just like I mean there's I'm sure like other people that do that too, but he was just very like that like performance art mixed with live music
Mhm.
and like even recording, in a certain kind of character, just very it adds I think I like that I like being able to kind of act like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it just adds another layer that was very inspirational to me. Yeah.
What's his acronym from that one video?
Wait, I don't know. Is it like the interview
The
one?
tour video. Yeah, the tour interview video.
Oh yeah.
It always gets me.
Is it the?
Pesca Jumba?
Yeah. Yes. That was good. I think it was his Glitter and Doom
Yeah.
tour
yeah.
introduction. He's like, Pesca Jumba.
Yeah. Walks out, puts his fedora on,
Yeah.
takes the thing off the record, the needle off the record.
Oh yeah. And then the best part is when it zooms out at the end,
And
and
there's
it's just
no one in there.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's also like him implementing jokes into his like he's very comedic as well.
Yeah.
And like I think people conflate comedy with not taking things seriously.
Mhm.
But I think that's stupid. Like it's just
Yeah.
it's not because like if you get a laugh, you get especially with an audience and like live performing, like you get the audience to ease up, loosen
Mhm.
up, be on your side, accept what you're saying a bit more, and it also helps with engagement.
Yeah.
And like I mean there's also just like comedy helps cope with suffering and
Mhm.
all kinds of like darkness that's within the world.
Yeah.
But I just like the way that he can make you laugh and cry in like the same verse.
Yeah.
And just like mixing all these different emotions. It's very it's just a lot more rich than like if you just had, straight downer music, you know, straight funny music.
Yeah, he's got the spectrum.
Oh,
for sure.
one person I should mention that is a big influence on me, huge influence, is Weird Al Yankovic. Because like I think that was the first like artist that I like got into their discography, and that was like in like second grade, or like second or first grade, I guess. But like I just because I had a Radio Disney CD that had The Saga Begins, where he sings the plot of Phantom Menace to the tune of American Pie. And I was like, oh wow, cool, it's like a Star Wars song. And then I saw like one of my neighborhood friends had his like DVD video collection, and it just had a bunch of stuff. But that one was on there, as well as like Fat and Eat It and all this stuff. Like that, I mean, like obviously he's, you know, like his type of humor is it's kind of for everybody type of thing. But like especially like a whole song about fat and like eating it, and like I didn't know any of the originals really. So but like they stood up on their own, and it was just really funny. And then like once I started seeing like, oh, like this, you know, he's parodying Michael Jackson, or he's parodying this song, and like comparing it, you know, I was like, oh wow, this is really cool. And then seeing the amount of detail that he puts into translating, you know, like certain like words from the original, but recontextualizing it to work within the theme of his parody.
And keeping the like the shapes of the words.
It's very masterful. And you also just the styles that he's able to slip into. He's such a versatile performer. And I think that's always a huge inspiration for me. It's just being able to like jump around to different styles and not limit yourself. You know,
definitely.
And having a successful career over the span of like 79 to now, like, you know, and he's in not just, you know, the music world, but also the comedy world, and like has a movie, you know. And
the fact that he was able to be a star in his like with his medium of comedy music basically before the internet is crazy. Like obviously YouTube helped him immensely, but he was a thing before then, which blows my mind.
And like he also like had an issue when Napster came up, because people would post like song parodies that he had nothing to do with, but would label it under his name. Like when you're just the parody guy, so any parody is a Weird Al song. Like that's a title, you know.
On the line of sort of humor, I was just talking to someone about how I think humor is like a certain humor and wisdom are somehow connected. I think in a pretty I think they're highly connected. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but they have a heavy connection to each other, because to make someone, I mean, you don't have to make someone laugh, but to evoke like, you know, happiness or like a laughing sensation. Wow, I just can't come up with words, but
it's like
you have
emotional
to know,
intelligence.
you have to know how people work and how they're going to react to what you're giving them.
Right.
And I think that's really, I think Weird Al and Tom Waits are both like, I think they are so like enriching because they can do that.
Right.
They know how people work and they know how to elicit a reaction.
Yeah. Because I know Tom Waits has had some serious roles, you know, and like he can do that just as much as he can, you know, play like a prospector in the Ballad of Buster Scruggs. You know, or like I don't know. He's you know, he's cool. And he's just like, the fact that he did that to his voice just so he could have that character to it, you know? I mean, it's like, it's commitment, you know?
It's maniacal commitment.
And it's, I mean, like, you know, I have an unending amount of respect for those guys. I mean, also, like, Weird Al can just shred accordion. He's like, you know,
that dude is I don't even know what the word. I don't know what he is.
This is a goat, a beast.
Yeah, he's a true Renaissance man.
Yeah,
But in a parody, song.
yeah. I mean, like, some of his parodies are better than the originals.
Yeah. Oh, I think a lot of them are.
Yeah. I mean, like, they last a lot longer.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
obviously he's parodied some, like, legendary songs that are still, super popular, but, like, there's some where it's like, the fuck is this a parody of? Oh, that one, like, flash in the pan, like, one hit wonder song, but he parodied it, and now it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
And that's the one that people remember. Yeah.
Well, I guess we should probably play some more songs.
Sure. I'll pull up some lyrics. I'm gonna fill up my water bottle.
All right. What's the next one that I have planned?
I had Lay Down on.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I can do that. Well, what's the one I have after that?
Lullaby for the End of the World.
Okay, I can do both those together. They actually pair pretty well, I think.
Cool. I'll be right back.
In the dying of the day, shadows stretch across my way. Tell the birds to sing their songs, for the night to come is long, and the breeze is blowing strong. My hands are blistered up and sore, yet what have I despite best to show for? Just this morn felt so new, couldn't find enough to do. Now it seems though all has fallen through. Lay down to rest, sleep still into tomorrow's breast. Close your eyes to the night, keep the fire close, bundle up tight, hear the soft bubbling stream on the sand slip through your dreams, catch the smell of the leaves over soft echoed screams. Lay down to rest, sleep still in tomorrow's breast.
So that was Lay Down. And this next one is Lullaby for the End of the World, which I think I'd written a couple lines from it after reading The Road my freshman year, and then I came up with my freshman year of college. So, like 2016, and The Road by Cormac McCarthy, which is kind of a depressing story, but I thought it was really powerful of like the father, trying to usher his son through this like post-apocalyptic chaotic world, and there's something that was really like inspiring about that. And so I kind of wrote this little lullaby progression, and I didn't finish the lyrics for it until like a couple years later, so it's one of those things that you just sit on for a while. So
the fire we keep will make us warm. Close those eyes. Ease your mind. You'll find me through every storm. So don't you fright when I turn out the light. The moon is just the sun at night. Go to sleep, darling. In your dreams, through darkness gleams ghostly streams of stars long gone. As you lie, keep them alive. Delicately hide there in the treetops till dawn. My earth's turned cold as darkness grows. My last love song of painful rose. Are you floating or falling to this world?
Pescajumba. I love. I've been putting the lyrics over my camera,
Mm-hmm.
and I just get to like lean back, and I'm just
Yeah.
sitting here cheesing. Just wow, this is great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wow. That one's also loaded.
Yeah.
As is Lay Down.
Right. Yeah.
The what do you call the second to last line about the beautiful angel? Is that
Beautiful angel.
Like as far as a part of the form?
I guess it's kind of just. I mean, it's the same chord progressions as the little. I mean, because I guess what the issue that I had with that song is it was just like just that same progression the whole time, which a lot of lullabies are just repeat different verses.
Yeah.
But it needed something contrasting to it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, because it's just the same chord progressions for this, but then the second time has more lyrics, and then it repeats that little inner. I don't know. It's like it's kind of like a chorus, I guess. But it kind of feels more like a bridge the second time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it's just I don't know what you'd call it exactly, but it's just contrasting material, and it kind of goes somewhere different before it comes back to the home base.
Yeah, it's definitely contrasting. I don't know how many people in a lullaby would expect beautiful angel with your feathers waxed on. Are you floating or falling to this world beaten to mud?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again,
it takes a turn.
Right. Well, it's kind of, I mean, the road is like, they encounter like cannibals and all kinds of depraved shit. So, and he has to raise his son through this. And then eventually towards the end of the book, the father dies. And there's a line that says like, goodness will find the boy. And like, meaning like, cause like his, I think wife, I don't know if she committed suicide or if she, died, or I can't remember. But it's just the father and his son, and the father and the mother had debates, kind of about like what is the future gonna be like for our kids, and like, she was very along the lines of like we should spare him from this and suffering and just like, get it over with. But like, I think he kind of struggles with this question too, and like, there's something very like profound and like fundamental about that. And I think there's something that, I mean, I'm not a parent, but I can imagine that a lot of parents go through that kind of similar anxiety of just having to let your kids go out into the world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that sounds terrifying. Is there an angel in that story, or is that you?
No, I added that in there.
What is that sort of skepticism about?
I mean, you have like the myth of Icarus, which is where I pulled feathers waxed on from. And like, he flew too close to the sun, the wax melted, and then he plummeted down to the ground and died. Gotcha. And so I like the, like, oh, my little angel, but and then it's like, are you floating or falling? Because like in the great Pixar film Toy Story, flying is just falling with style.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. I just think it's like kind of this push and pull sort of mentality in the song.
Yeah. You can kind of hear that in the harmonies too. Like it's lullaby-ish, and then there's a little turn. Yeah.
It gets dark a little bit.
Donovan said those two songs reminded him more of Radiohead.
I could see that.
I would agree. Yeah. I want to look back at Lay Down. I feel like I feel like there's more to that one.
Mm-hmm.
What did I write? Oh yeah, more fire references.
Yeah.
It sounds nice right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This one is super imagery focused.
Yeah.
When did you write this one?
Lay Down.
Mm-hmm.
2018, 2019.
Okay.
I think. Yeah. Like my sophomore year.
Yeah.
And I wrote that one pretty quickly too.
Mm.
Because I thought it was a pretty simple idea for a song.
Yeah.
And I was like, at the end of the day, like, feeling like, because I mean, especially in college, you always, I should have gotten a lot more done. Like, I had so many goals for today, and like, and there's kind of like, I just felt like, I'm going to sleep, getting my rest, like, but it's like, there's sort of like a double-edged sword to that.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
oh, I feel that. Yeah.
Getting, I mean, you're getting energy and like you're resting up and calling it a day, but at the same time, it's like,
there was more to do.
yeah, there is more to do, and like you can't just keep pushing things off until tomorrow.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I all too vividly remember the feeling of hitting the dorm mattress and how relieving that was, but also there was still the anxiety of I still have to wake up, an hour before class because I didn't finish my set theory homework or whatever.
Right. Yeah. So I guess that's where that comes from, but
yeah.
Plus like you also use like a lot of people use the metaphor of like sleep as like being in a dream, like being not in touch with reality, things like that. And so like it's kind of that double-edged sword of laying down to rest and that's like last verse, like the first two verses kind of paint the image of like me specifically, and then this last verse I think is more about like during the sleep, like close your eyes to the night, keep the fire close, like, and then that's kind of where it ties in with the fire we keep will make us warm from Lullaby. And I mean, especially in like a more kind of like ancient human sort of standpoint, like you build a fire at night to survive. Keep the fire close, bundle up tight, hear the soft bubbling stream while the sand slips through your dream, like Sandman, like kind of stuff like that, and then hear the sound or catch the smell of the leaves, and then the last line kind of flips it where it's like over soft echoed screams, being like that kind of underlying anxiety.
That's the screaming at yourself for not doing everything you needed to do.
Right.
The other thing, sleep is always associated with not just rest and what was the other thing you mentioned?
Like dreaming.
Dreaming is death.
Right.
Was that intended when you wrote this?
I think so. It's got some stuff in there.
Yeah, I think all of it could.
There's, I mean, my goal is to have it apply in multiple layers.
Yeah.
And if there's things that I didn't necessarily intend and I stumble upon it later and realize that, then it's
canon.
An added bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's when you. It's sort of different when you. The feeling of not doing everything you needed to do during a day before you go to sleep sucks.
Yeah.
But when you take it to the next level of if this song is about death, if you're leaving and there's still the soft echoed screams of the things you didn't accomplish.
Regrets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That hits.
It's there's a song that's written by Jackson Brown, but it was first recorded by Nico. Trying to remember the specific verse I'm thinking of. I've been out walking, don't do too much talking these days. Here, I'm gonna pull this up because I think it kind of applies to what we were talking about. It's just a good. I mean, the first version he recorded is a lot more depresso, which he wrote when he was like 19 or something like that, and then he recorded it years later, and he manipulated some of the verses and made it a little bit more positive focused. But the Nico version has the original lyrics that he wrote. Oh yeah, it's in the first verse. So I've been out walking, don't do too much talking these days. These days I seem to think a lot about the things that I forgot to do and all the times I had the chance to. And I'll just read the other ones because they're good. I've stopped my rambling, don't do too much gambling these days. These days I seem to think about how all the changes came about my way, and I wonder if I'd see another highway. I had a lover, don't think I'd risk another these days. These days, and if I seem to be afraid to live the life that I have made in song, it's just that I've been losing for so long. I've stopped my dreaming, won't do too much scheming these days. These days I sit on cornerstones and count the time in quarter tones to 10. Please don't confront me with my failures. I have not forgotten them.
Dang.
And then I think in the is like, like things are bound to be improving these days is the revised version. So he's got a little bit more of a positive spin.
Yeah,
on it.
less jaded.
Right. I think when you're younger, it's easier to be jaded because you don't necessarily see the full circle of what life has to offer.
Yeah, yeah. What does count the quarter tones till 10?
These days I sit on cornerstones and count the time in quarter tones to 10. I guess just meaning like, like still, just waiting to run out the clock, basically.
I don't know if that was a musical reference somehow.
Yeah,
I
I
couldn't
know.
piece it together. I don't
Yeah,
know.
not like quarter tones. Like I don't think it's a musical reference. I don't think Jackson Brown was thinking about quarter tones in music.
Yeah.
At least at that point. But yeah, that's a good song, and I think part of that kind of, worked its way into my mind. I think I was listening to that song a decent amount too at that time, so it's a good song.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't think about Lay Down that way, like with that sort of thinking about life, and like wanting to do things before life is over. I mean, it's one of those like kind of fractal metaphors, right? That like, you think about a day can apply to your life.
Yeah, yeah. It expands and contracts infinitely. Yeah. Everything is existential if you make it. Yeah.
Care for some more Screwball?
Sure. Thank you. We got 2 more tunes.
What time are we at now?
Going 2 hours. It's 10:30.
Nice.
Yeah.
Feels like nothing. This is fun. I could go all night. Also, I love being able to talk about my songs and it not seem like, because like I'm being asked questions. It's like there's not really a lot of times where you can be like, hey, do you want to like hear me ramble about my song?
Yeah.
And like life philosophy.
That was sort of part of the intention of this because I've met a lot of people who I know, and I've experienced this too, where I want to talk about things, but there's a point where it's like, no one asked,
right?
So,
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Do you have any other questions? Like good prompts?
I just did a chat moderation thing, and then I lost my train of thought. I did. I was thinking about something. What were we talking about?
Like the fractal of like one day can be used as a metaphor for a life, you know, like with
Yeah.
lay down, having that kind of multiple layers to it.
Yeah. I think that song, Donovan asked you why you decided to grow a mustache.
Because it was fun. I mean, it's really not that complex.
Yeah.
You know, I was like in quarantine. I was like, oh, well, I mean, I might as well see what my genes can offer in the department of facial hair.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of this stuff wasn't working out, so I just kept the mustache. That's really that simple. And then now I just like it because it's just kind of fun.
Yeah.
You know, I might shave it at some point, but not right now.
So I guess the whole point of this, outside of just chilling and talking, is getting down to why. And we sort of talked about this in the beginning, but it's kind of nice to revisit after we've been through things, like why it's worthwhile to do both this kind of thing and just like create art in general. Because I think you said you watched last week when we were talking about like in our society this sort of thing should be obsolete because of our focus on production and materialism. So why do you think people still like crave this and need to create stuff like this?
To simplify it, because we are spiritual beings and simply focusing on the material world and, you know, accruing capital and, you know, trying to, because you can't take that with you, right? I mean, I don't know if you can take anything with you, but, you know, at the end of the day, when you lay down to rest, what are you going to have that's, you know, like what's left? And that is like your experiences and stuff like that. And at least for me, music's been a very therapeutic thing. And that's why I kind of like, I mean, I like happy music, but I also really like depressing music because it's something that I think not everyone is comfortable talking about, is like depressing thoughts or certain truths that can be a little heavy, you know. But I think in talking about it and processing it, you can learn to cope with it better. And like, I don't know, for me, like, just, I mean, also like music affects people on a different level than like structuring an argument, you know, with like logic and with facts and with data that can be recorded in the physical material world. Like, there's something about hearing someone that wrote something or like having like a specific vision to some kind of project that is really cool, which is why I think I like creating, but I think everybody to some degree should practice creativity in some kind of art form, because there's something you learn from it, you know? And like, even, you know, like, I mean, for me, like, I like performing other people's stuff, and there's a certain creativity in working something up, you know, and being able to play it. And there's that, you get a lot from that, and you definitely have to learn other things. You can't just stick in your own world, and, you know, I mean, you need to expose yourself to other influences so you can become inspired. But I don't know. I mean, like, as far as what music is going to offer to some kind of AI, like, I don't know what value they'll find in it. But at least for humans, it's something I think even if you can have AI making music, humans are still going to make music because it's something that's I mean, for the people that make music or make art of any form or be creative in any form, like, even like carpenters, there's creativity in that, like designing your own, plans for some kind of project, and like you have to get certain tools and there's certain techniques that you use, and like there's a sort of problem solving thing that happens.
There's a process, there's a ritual to it almost.
Right.
Process.
And there's a problem solving kind of process with songwriting and creativity too, because there are, as much as it is an art form and it may seem like everything is arbitrary, it isn't arbitrary. There's a science to it. There's real limits to what you can do.
Yeah.
But you're trying to break through those limits, and but it's always a delicate balance, because if you break too many of the rules, then you're just listening to noise.
Yeah.
So.
But if
yeah.
I mean. But we can always prescribe meaning to noise. I think that was the point. That was the point the minimalists were trying to make, was that if there is intent behind it, even if it breaks all the rules, if there's human intent behind it, which whatever that means, then there is meaning to it.
Right. But it's especially if we're talking about like pop music and jazz, I think, is like one of the best examples of like testing the limits of harmony. It's not breaking anything. There's a lot of experimentation, but it's not necessarily breaking harmony. And I think being able to just like, throw the whole rule book out and then focus on like process music or like serialism, like it's a different way of constructing music and different method of creating it. But at the same time, if it doesn't emotionally resonate with you, the creator, then it probably won't resonate with other people. And it might too. That's the thing. That's like, I think this is crap. And then other people hear it, they're like, oh, this is great.
I wonder if a lot of people dislike serialism and other forms of like atonality because it's not pretty music. I wonder if for serialism in particular, if the reason it's not quite so attractive to the masses is because it's not based on human creation. It's based on math, which is a universal construct. It's a universal constant. So there still is human choice going into it,
right?
But it's math.
There's with serialism, like 12-tone serialism and stuff, there's still a lot of human choice that goes into it. So it's not really that much. It is a different process, but you still have rhythm and dynamics and articulation and pairing in different combinations of the sequence, and then different transpositions of the sequence.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds, like a plethora of choices that the composer has to make, which influence.
Is that not just putting like arbitrary filters over a different math problem?
But it's not arbitrary, because also like the composer then comes up with the 12-tone roll, right? Or just any other kind of like set or theory, right? Like, it's just constructing it not based off of chords, you know, like, or at least triads, or that kind of traditional diatonic based, like springboard from diatonic harmony. So I think I kind of get what you're saying, but I don't agree with it, because I think there's still so many other like human inflections on it that make it. I'm not that like I sit down and I listen and I catch all those inflections, but it is there.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Because I love serialism, but I definitely don't like regularly listen to it for enjoyment, though.
Right. It's one of those things where I'm like, I want to, like, I'm curious and I want to see if I can get it and
Yeah.
one day enjoy it, but
Yeah.
not there yet.
Yeah. I mean, I can enjoy it on paper,
Right.
but I'm not going to put my headphones on and jam to it.
I will say there is some interesting like early set theory stuff because like Abe gave me this record. Our friend Abe Miller, who just put out an EP called Ella's Waltz,
True.
and it is on Bandcamp and Spotify.
Find a link
So
to it real quick.
yes, it's very good, very good. My
True.
personal favorite is track "What'd You Think of That?"
Yeah, I think I have one of the original printouts of that. I think
Nice.
he wrote that at UNI, and
Yeah.
I found it somewhere on the ground.
Probably in the jazz studio or something. Because I remember
Maybe,
he brought
yeah.
it to our combo. And
Yeah.
we looked over it. But yeah, no. So Abe gave me Schoenberg piano record, and like I was just kind of listening to some tracks off that, and it's I don't know. It's you get some really interesting sonorities. You know, there's something that's very like. But I think if like I was gonna do that kind of stuff, I wanna then, you know, because I really like harmony, you know, and for
Yeah.
me that's like one of the most. It's a very important thing, and like, not that I can't enjoy music without that, but it just fills it out for me. So just to have that on its own, like I want some more strange sonorities, but I want there to be something that, you know, a less experienced listener can grab onto, you know?
Yeah, true.
Because that's also just where my ear comes from, you know, it's the
Right.
pop rock kind
Uh-huh.
of world,
Yeah.
you know, and jazz.
Yeah,
That stuff's good. Tasty jazz harmonies.
yeah. I wonder where that comes from because I think, if I remember correctly, I think that's where much of our early conversation, early as in like back in the day,
Mhm.
after Theory 3
Right.
and stuff. I think that's where most of that came from, was just talking about harmony.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder how people latch on to certain aspects like that
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to rhythm. I mean, I'm still interested in other things, rhythm, melody, etc.
Yeah.
But for some reason, harmony just
There's
takes the cake.
rhythms up to make you groove in the sun. It's like there's some song that talks about like rhythms there to make you groove. The music's there to make you move or something like that. It's like the rhythm has like a very visceral, like physical feeling, I think.
Yeah.
You know, where it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
when you get like a good 4 on the floor dance number
Yeah.
going at the club, like everyone's just like,
Yeah.
it makes you want to like, or like just a really good groove that's got like all this like, you know, like cube, like I think of like Latin music.
Yeah. Yeah. You can
There's-
feel it. You have to. Feel
Right.
it.
Right. You gotta like,
Yeah.
at least for the people who are really into it and listening and
Mhm.
aren't afraid of moving around a little bit,
Yeah.
like
yeah. Aren't crippled by,
social pressures.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, but like, you know, you kind of, it makes you want to move, right?
Mhm.
But like listening to a chord progression doesn't necessarily do that, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't want to dance to Gregorian chant.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's not a chord progression, but that's, you know, like a melody.
Yeah.
So I think maybe to oversimplify it, like the rhythm is for the physical part, and then the harmony is for the emotional part, and the melody
yeah.
helps give it more identity.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
something like that. I think that's kind of the balance
I could
that's
see
going
that.
on there. Maybe.
So you think that has any implications on like personality type,
Possibly.
like where people gravitate?
Yeah, but I also really love rhythm.
Yeah.
Like
same.
like good like complex rhythms that groove that I think yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's just like I think also like I really like percussionists too because they're
Mhm.
into like those rhythms that are almost like normal vanilla, but then there's something in there you throw that just fucks it up a little bit
Yeah.
and like really plays with expectations.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, you
And
can
they
do that
always do it.
Yeah.
That's what they live for.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's the same thing with harmony. You can play with expectations as well.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, you're playing with conventions, but I think the conventions aren't arbitrary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is interesting because I think someone who maybe doesn't have that much experience with actually like understanding theory and, or at least like, like knowing how to play chords and like how music works, like people who just listen to music, they don't necessarily understand that aspect of it where it's not all arbitrary.
Yeah.
Like there's like learning music theory does increase your understanding of music.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
It is kind of nuts though how they might not understand it, but on a certain level they feel it the same way we do.
Because I would say like the Beatles knew music theory.
Yeah.
You know, but they didn't know how to read music. But they sure as hell knew music theory.
Yeah. I feel like
know.
if you've been around it enough, I think the ear, well,
that and like,
not
you
the
know,
ear, it's really the brain.
they
that
know like a
picks it up.
1-4-5 progression, you know, they
Yeah.
know like a blues progression. Like they know that, and they know that like this chord sounds right here, and
Yeah.
that this you can go to this chord from this chord, or you know, this is an unconventional chord movement, but you know it works because it sounds right to the ear.
Yeah. At some level, they know
Yeah.
how those things make them feel.
Right. They understand that. Like you can learn music theory without, you know, like knowing the names for everything, right? Because it's a auditory art form.
Yeah.
You know, like so. But I also think, you know, being able to know all of the terminology and, you know, the lingo and like different, it just helps with communication.
Yeah.
And it helps, you know, because you can write down your musical
Right.
ideas and
It expedites.
Oh, exactly. It's, I mean, like if you had to, you know, I mean, if you couldn't communicate over text, you know, or like email or stuff like that, like you'd just have such a harder time communicating things,
Yeah.
especially in today's world. So it's just the same thing,
Yeah.
you know, and learning music theory and all that and getting fluent with reading music and fluent with reading music on your instrument and getting good at sight reading and stuff like those are all things that are only going to make music easier, you know? So, you know, like I understand the whole, like, you don't need music theory. Sure. But like, if you can, like you have the internet, you can look some stuff up and get started,
Yeah.
you know, it'll make your life easier.
Yeah. And there's something to me about just understanding how like things work within our universe that just it might not change your daily life, but having that awareness somehow on some level makes me feel more grounded, I guess.
Yeah. Like,
and music is one of those things. Maybe not necessarily theory because it's all theoretical and we created it, but like it is related to nature.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's knowing about that I think is important. Can
I
be
mean-
important.
I mean, like, you know, like animals respond to music, you know, and that's really cool. Like I know Miley Cyrus talked about her dog that she named Kate Moss, and she practices scales every day, and now Kate Moss sings scales with her.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's the thing of, you know, repetition and, you know, practice. Like the dog's just there chilling, like listening, like it learned it, you know?
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, like, that's stuff that's like, I don't know. It's just really, really cool and profound that music has, you know, I mean, birds, you know, I mean, also have like certain types of calls, or, you know, there's pitch in everything, you know, like when I'm at work and I hear a microwave go off, like sometimes it lines up with the music, you know,
Yeah.
or like I can identify how it relates, you
Yeah.
know, and it's good practice, but also just, yeah.
I love that. I love how many people like I love the equivalency of like natural music to bird song.
Yeah.
It's such a literal translation. like Messiaen's work with birdsong and even the minimalists, like their emphasis on music is everywhere. It's like any sound with any sort of organization. And then even Bob Washut, I remember in a theory class mentioning how bird songs help with oral training.
Mm-hmm. There's a album from 2015 by a French artist, Chassol, so Chassol, and the album is called Big Sun, and the first two tracks off of that are called like Birds 1 and Birds 2. And it's just like he kind of just builds like a sort of musical loop out of a bird call sample. And it's so cool, you know.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, Charles Cornell on YouTube, you know, transcribing Cardi B, you know, videos and then harmonizing it. It's like, I mean, yeah, stuff's awesome. Like, it's like John Cage has a quote where he's like, it was something along the lines of like, I don't need sounds to be organized the way I want them. I like to enjoy sounds as they are. And he lives in like New York, and he'll just sit with the window open and listen to the sound of things going off. And it's like something about being able to like turn your mind on just to listen and like hear how things are. Like when I was working in the bakery below Piazza in Redeker Center, there's like a mixer, like a really big one. And, you know, like you hear it going off, and because it's got like a sort of pattern to it, but the dough moving around in it will like it's moving spinning at the same speed, but the dough moving around will like kind of rattle in different ways. So it sounds like kind of like a pulse, but then it'll accent, you know, certain beats in that pulse, and it creates interesting like mixed meters. But that's because I have a brain that's wired for music. You know, like other people, it's just noise.
Right.
But I like being able to have that skill where I can just listen to noises, and that you can get inspiration from that.
Try and organize it in your own way.
Right. Because there's multiple ways to organize it, and that's the point. But the fact that you can organize it and then translate it to somebody else is what is the useful skill. And that's where music theory comes in, you know? It's like, even if, I mean, there's all kinds of substitutes for 2-5-1s, you know, and all kinds of dominant substitutes and stuff like that. Like, but there's still like a dominant to a tonic. I mean, without like a dominant 7 to like just a regular tonic sound, like it sounds
tension release.
Yeah, it can. I mean, like, you know, like a G triad to a C triad. It's not clear what key it's in. But you know, when you add those other notes in there, you're like, oh, it sounds like it's here. And then when you mess around, like move away from diatonic harmony, you get even more interesting kind of things going on.
More variables to sort of to play with expectations. Really is what it boils down to.
And you know, it's like the idea of like a delayed cadence, you know. You can delay something. Like you can have, like in jazz, like a 2-5, and then the 5 becomes a minor, and then that minor becomes the 2 of the next 5, and you can just chain these things together and like arrive at different keys, and you know, you can find ways to move to different areas. You know
what's funny? When I was analyzing Brandenburg this morning, Bach, he definitely does that. He disguises and delays cadences. I mean, so does everyone.
Right.
But, yeah, definitely. If it were chord symbols instead of a score, it could have been mistaken for jazz easily.
Right.
Which was crazy.
Right. Yeah. Music's such a. I mean, like, I don't want to limit myself just to music. I mean, as far as like what I want to focus on, it's music. But I also have interest in like film and comedy, and I mean, you know, art too, to a certain degree. I'm not super into that world, but there's always stuff I want to come to understand, because for me, like, you know, that's easy. That's more accessible to me than like, you know, advanced mathematics or like
that's the
other
thing.
stuff.
I think and this is, I think, after 2 episodes so far, the conclusion I'm getting to is that mathematics is a universal constant,
Mhm.
and all of the things you just mentioned, film, art, music, what else did you say? Comedy, those are all human things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to get into those things, you don't have to understand people, but that's what it's about,
Mm-hmm.
is understanding and like working with, or being with people.
You gotta communicate.
Yeah, it's
something.
communication.
Yeah.
Human communication.
Yeah. There's some, because like if you just, I mean, like there's like something striking about certain Jackson Pollock paintings
Yeah.
that, yeah, you know, oh, a 4-year-old could do that, but like the way he uses color and, you know, certain air, like it's very intentional, and it communicates something, even if it's extremely abstract. And that's a talent. That's a skill. That's a skill. You know, it is a skill, not just, you're not just born with that. I mean, there is maybe people who are born with certain, you know, inclinations towards certain areas, but like, yeah. And I think mathematics is also something that's interesting because, you know, we have a number system based in tens.
Yeah.
But you can have it, you know, based in like, you know, units of like 13 or you know, whatever. I don't know.
Tens, because it's easiest for our unevolved brains.
Right. I mean, like, but there's something about the patterns that emerge that is very universal, and that's what's really cool about mathematics.
Yeah.
But you know, there's also all kinds of theoretical mathematics. You know.
Yeah.
If you really want to go off the deep end and that stuff, which that's kind of where I'm like, well, if someone can explain it to me, that's cool. But like, I'm not gonna necessarily go and search and dig through all that, because I'm also like just have a short attention span. So
that's why I loved our first 2 years of music theory so much, is because I was like pretty into math in high school, and before that, and so I came to UNI and I didn't have that except for music theory, and then I had Randall Harlow, who's like a physicist, you know? And so it all mixed, and I was seeing, I mean, music theory during those couple of years, especially 3 and 4, was just math. We were doing matrices and seeing how these things could create tonices, which are basically just fractals, you know, sort of.
Right.
So, yeah, it definitely does intersect. Everything does. Yeah.
I think, finding the overlap between different fields of study is pretty interesting as well.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's just like analogies, you know. Just certain patterns that emerge, you know. I mean, like, especially with the creative process of like comedy, music, film, like writing, art, like there's certain patterns that emerge, but also it happens in different nuanced ways.
Yeah.
Which is also interesting. Yeah.
And then when you find people who are experts in their fields, who are also experts in multiple fields and can combine them effectively, that's when you get, you know, innovation, I guess. Yeah.
I guess like one thing that me personally, like, I think I have these interests in film and comedy and, you know, like writing and acting even, and all that stuff I can inject into my music and performance of my music, you know, and like, cause, you know, like there's tons of musicians who make their own music videos, or I mean, obviously there's some tech things that I probably would not know, you know, but you know, you can always like collaborate with people, which I also like.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you know, having like you know, certain ideas for videos on my phone, you know, like or like you know, like how can I mean, especially with lyrics, you know, it's like I've got a certain idea about what this means, and I can perform it a certain way that hopefully will communicate that idea into the listener, and even just like physical performance, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, Tom Waits is a good example of, you know, infusing all that stuff together. So
Yeah.
and having good,
same with Weird Al, I would say.
yeah, and having good stage banter too,
Mm-hmm.
like, because you know that is a skill. Like if you want to be a, you know, I mean, you want to engage an audience, right? You don't want to go up there and be like, you know, this is what I have to offer, and if you don't get it, then you're stupid.
Yeah.
Like, it's like you gotta work to get people on your side. You know, you gotta really work and grind to get people to want to listen to you, and especially to want to give money to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's even harder now with, you know, music being free.
Yeah. I hope when our sort of economy recovers, that there might be a renaissance of people wanting to give to that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's why I think bars work well, because people always want to go out and drink alcohol, and then, you know, the bars, like you're drawing people in with some music, but then also like, you know, people are there and like helping the business along. It's very symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But then again, like in certain areas, there's just not enough people who want to do that.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna make anything.
Yeah.
It's like we're paying you an exposure. It's that whole thing.
Yeah. So urbanization is the answer.
Urbanization.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that. I think yeah, I think just I don't know. I think communities are where it's at, you know, because you can have a huge city but not have a community, you know.
Yeah.
It's like you want to. That's why small towns are kind of cool, because everybody knows everybody, but then it also becomes like cliquey. There's some issues with that, but and there's certain like sub communities within, you know, big cities and stuff like that. But I mean, I think there's issues that arise when you have cities that are so big that you can not know people and then not care about certain people, you know. It's like you need to view your neighbors as your neighbors, and like, because that kind of fucks up the whole karmic system.
Yeah.
Where you're not
that and you know, communicating where you don't see the face of the other person.
right, like
Just-
Twitter.
Yeah. It gets rid of empathy.
Right.
Or at least a fraction of it. Empathy for other humans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's time to move into the next song.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Got 2 left, is that right?
Yep. So this next one, there's a lyric on here that kind of ties into what we were just talking about. Whereas there's the second verse after the chorus is peace on earth for each other, a piece of earth for chosen brothers. Purge a bastard and you'll grow faster. I think that's kind of, I don't know, it ties in a little bit, at least in my mind. You know, so it's like I was watching this movie today, or did I already talk about it? Babylon, the one that's about like dub music and
Briefly, yeah.
yeah.
And then it was in the next song you played.
Right. It also touches on racism, and like they call them like jungle bunnies, which is just awful. But like that was one that got thrown around a lot, and like, you know, it's like, go back to your country. It's like, this is my country. I was born here. Like, this is where I grew up, and like, it sucks. And like, they're saying like, this used to be a good neighborhood before, you know, you blah 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 moved in here, and it's like, you know, the idea of like chosen brothers, like, there's certain people like these are your brothers. We're all humans, right? We're all you live in the same town, but you know, like if you're like, oh well, those aren't my people because they don't think the way I think.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's, you know, not my president. It's like, well, no, he is your president. It just sucks. Like, you know, but it's like if everybody kind of viewed themselves as all part of the same community, all on the same team, we'd have a much different world than, you know, because it's like, let's like be honest, like our enemies aren't, you know, the lower classes. It's the people who are the ones making the big decisions, right?
Yeah.
And those are the ones that aren't taking other people into consideration. Yeah. And that's kind of where so this song is called IDFC, which is I Don't Fucking Care, which is kind of like, you know, for me, it's like a protest kind of song where it's like kind of saying, I'm going to do, you know, like I'm just going to focus on what I can do. Like, I don't care what you think.
A dose of political nihilism, almost.
Right, a little bit. Yeah, like, I don't care what you think because, you know, like, that, you know, whether it doesn't, for me, like, the person who's in charge of the country is not going to determine how I want to live my life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Watching over Judas, got him talking, oh so clueless, tongue on fire, not a liar. In the garden, Eve is pardoned, inner goddess, not a promise, nada, surely gotta get farther, so much for fathers, sourced for nothing, not strategic, born of mud and left anemic, revolutions, introducing constitutions, resolutions, evolutions, another for evolution. I don't care what you think, I don't care what you say, don't care if you don't wanna care, if you don't feel the same, that's okay, just a game anyway. I don't care, don't care, I don't fucking care. Peace on earth for each other, a piece of earth for chosen brothers. Purge a bastard, then you'll grow faster. Greener pastures ever after. Green for money, greed for laughter. Hunger burning, stomach churning. Meet the maker, meet your master. I don't care what you think, I don't care what you say, I don't care if you don't wanna care, if you don't feel the same. what you say. I don't care if you don't wanna care. If you don't feel the same, that's okay. Just a game anyway. Draw a pair, wait to ride in the air till it's narcotic rage in your cage. Break his chains, fight the pain. I don't care, don't care, I don't care, I don't fucking care. Oh, that one's takes a lot of breath.
Yeah. Dang. That's a.
Yeah.
I was wondering when you were gonna breathe in there.
I usually so that's in standard tuning, and for that one, ideally I play it a half step down.
Ah, okay.
But
Gotcha.
which does help a little bit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just one of those screaming ones. but-
Yeah. It's kind of hype to like have it just on the edge. Like,
Yeah.
You don't know what's gonna happen. You just gotta do it.
Yeah. Well, it helps if I have a little alcohol, so
Yeah. Yeah.
like you get a little bit more daring with
Yeah.
that stuff. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, that's a protest song for sure.
And that's a hard song right there.
Yeah. There it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's some other like kind of hard ones that I got that just I've been writing. Those are more of the recent ones, and the lyrics are harder. I think for me to crack with those ones.
Yeah, I could see that
Mm-hmm.
for us contemplative folk.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Less abrasive in
Mhm.
nature. Yeah. I dig the green for money, greed for laughter, hunger burning, stomach churning, meet the maker, meet your master.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. This is like that was a riff that I started for our Halloween show that we did because I
really?
was like messing around because like the riff came from. I was walking around the house with my electric guitars.
Oh. Yeah, what tune is that?
That's the one I just did.
But did that come from?
Kind of
a
sounds like
tune?
Killing in the Name.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's same kind of rhythm. I mean, I'm actually switching between 3 and 4 in that song. I don't know if you noticed. It's pretty slick transition.
I didn't. It didn't register.
But what's cool about that is like I was getting the overtone from.
Yeah.
So I get. Because you
the
get.
tritone on top.
But then.
Yeah.
So like. That's where that kind of riff came from. But.
Nice.
And then I was also thinking about like Milk It by Nirvana, which has a very similar kind of feel. Because I like that song. It's like. So you got like tritone, good sound, but then it's the power chord, so you're switching between that natural fifth and the tritone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tasty.
Yeah, and I also wanted to write a song that used a bunch of power chords.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
was a little bit more punk.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Throwback to Halloween.
Yeah.
I'm pretty upset that I lost that video because
Yeah.
I would love to go back and listen to Killing in the Name of.
That was fun.
Yeah.
But that's just something for the future then.
Yeah. Just got to do it again.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that one? It's a little bit more enigmatic. I
yeah.
think.
Yeah. Almost like speaking towards it's pretty pessimistic
Mhm.
towards like the outside world.
Yeah.
Probably rightfully so.
Yeah.
Yeah, revolutions introducing constitutions, resolutions, evolutions, another full revolution. That's
Yeah.
yeah. It's all right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So much forefathers.
Mhm.
Is that intended to be
like forefathers.
Yeah. Like, is it supposed to be a double entendre?
I guess it works that way, doesn't
So
it?
much, so much for fathers, so much forefathers.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was thinking of like in the context of God, like so
Yeah.
much for fathers.
Yeah.
Like, and also like, I mean, you got a deadbeat dad sort of
Right.
archetype, you know?
Right.
It's like, I mean, your forefathers are deadbeat dads, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was like, you know, they wrote all men are created equal. I mean, in that time, men had more like humanity, but also like men,
Yeah.
and also white men.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know,
All men are created equal, but 3/5 clause.
right.
Yeah.
But also like, you know, they're still political. You know, like they're not like. I mean, a lot of times, like, you know, our forefathers are kind of like romanticized, you know, and like
For sure.
especially like the Constitution being this document that is perfect. I mean, these guys were like what, 20 and 30,
Yeah.
like in their 40, like when they wrote
We were
this
just
thing.
talking about this last night.
Yeah.
Like some of them were literally our age.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, let's not. I mean, they were very well educated,
Mm-hmm.
but that's also for the time, and also they lived in a different world, and the way
Mhm.
things worked is different, and they didn't have industrial revolution, and they didn't have, you know, all kinds
Military
of things
industry.
the military industrial complex. They didn't have all this. I don't know. So just, but that's all that aside. Like, I guess one of the first lines I wrote for that song was "God is watching over Judas,"
Yeah.
which I thought was just very provocative, because it's like, you know, God is watching over you. You know, God is watching over Judas too,
Yeah.
and he betrayed Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, got him talking oh so clueless. It's that kind of thing of like, well, I mean, Judas is sort of a product of his experiences, and sure, there's human choice in there, but also like what causes him to make those choices is partly due to his upbringing and experience, and
Mhm.
like that's partly due to God, right? Because we're all
Yeah.
part of God's plan. So God got him talking so clueless and like making these errors, and then he ended up hanging himself because he sold, you know, Jesus away for his gold, you know, like.
Yeah.
So
But also, Christianity wouldn't exist as we know it without the betrayal of Judas, because Jesus wouldn't have been a martyr in the way that he was.
right,
So, like, I mean,
that's true.
He was a
He's a
core-
pawn,
Yeah.
a pawn in God's plan.
Yeah.
So
well,
you could
I would
look at
say
it that way.
Maybe even more than a pawn. He
Right.
was necessary to the story.
Right, but like a pawn in the sense that, like, you know,
Yeah.
his like, you know, I mean, some people would say that Judas is in hell, you know, like, but it's like, but also, you know, like, I mean, some people don't believe in hell, and that's probably more right than, you know, I don't know, like Jews don't really prescribe to that as far as I know. But like, you know, I thought it was just very provocative to start
Yeah.
the song
It's
"God is
kind of,
watching over
it's kind of
Judas."
offensive.
Yeah,
You are taking the offensive. Yeah.
right, right. And then, you know, in the garden, Eve is pardoned.
Was she?
You know, I mean,
or what do you
not
mean by
really.
that?
I mean, the reason that like people believe in baptism is because when people are born, they still have the original sin that is inherited from Adam and Eve, and you have to be baptized to wash yourself of that sin.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, you get into hairy situations with certain people who believe that, like, you know, if you're not baptized as a baby, you know, there's issues with that.
There's
I mean,
no way to
no
take
one's
it
gonna
back.
say that like a baby's going to hell, you know. But like I remember hearing a story about, like my priest talking about an anecdote that he experienced where, like, you know, this you know, infant died, this family, and you know, during the burial, it started raining, and he was like, well, that's God's way of baptizing. And I just like, sure, but what about the people who don't get, you know, rained on while they're being buried?
Yeah.
It's like, oh well, it rains later in the week, and it rains
Yeah.
on their grave and
Yeah.
baptizes them. It's like, okay, well, you know, it's like that's kind of one of those, you know, your perspective influencing your interpretation of
Yeah.
events. But
There's always going to be a plot hole of like But what about this person that
Mhm.
that fell through the cracks and there's nothing they could have done about it? you
Right.
know?
But yeah, I mean, Eve is pardoned. I guess just like, I mean, because like, I mean, they still had kids and stuff,
Mhm.
and I mean, they were kicked out of the Garden of Eden, but
Mhm.
I mean, no, she's the one who influenced Adam to eat from the apple, but also she was tempted by the snake, which was supposed to be the devil, in the form of a snake that tempted her to
Mhm.
eat of the fruit from the tree of wisdom. So not
Mhm.
necessarily an apple, but
A fig, maybe.
right,
Perhaps.
But I think then lotta nada,
Mhm.
surely gotta go farther. So much for fathers. Like in some ways, we're kind of cast into this world without very much guidance.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, also just a lot of internal rhyme in there,
Yeah.
and it was kind of fun. So I don't know. I mean, I can't say that there's a definite meaning to those lines, but I think it's very provocative, and I think there's enough intention behind it.
Oh yeah, there's plenty to pull from it.
Right.
I would say.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Also, like, I mean, I don't care what you think. I don't care what you say. I don't care if you don't want to care.
Yeah.
If you don't feel the same, that's okay. Just a game anyway. Being life, in some views is kind of a game or like a test or whatever. It's like, I mean, it is kind of a game, especially when you think about capitalism,
Mhm.
and the way that society measures your worth.
Yeah.
And then the extension of the chorus at the last chorus is draw a pair, wait to rot.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's like in a game of cards, you have your pair, and that's what you get, and
Mhm.
that's all you can use, like poker. And then wait to rot, meaning like death, and then panicked rage in your cage, like kind of existential sort of rage. I was also thinking of like the Smashing Pumpkins song, Bullet with Butterfly Wings. Despite all my rage, I'm still just a rat in a cage. And he's
Mhm.
talking about the music industry in that song.
Yeah.
But break these chains, spite the pain. Like, I mean, you try to do your best to live the life you want to live, but
Mhm.
you're still kind of constrained more or less. And then,
Yeah.
so it's just like, I don't care. Like it can seem very pessimistic, but to me, I look at it as kind of positive despite the pessimism.
Right.
It's like,
well, it's like if I think pessimism is sort of looking, not necessarily looking down, but not believing in the world around you.
Mhm.
And then the inevitable follow up would be, okay, I guess I have to do it myself.
right,
You know?
right. Yeah. And it's just like, because there's so many people, especially now, and I see it on social media a lot, that want to condemn other people for things that they wouldn't do themselves,
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, at a certain point, it is important, to establish what is okay and what isn't okay, and where the line should be in public, but
Mhm.
also like that line's not clear cut,
Mhm.
and like at a certain point, you can't change everybody's mind.
Yeah.
So you just got to focus on the people around you and your community, think
Mhm.
globally, act locally kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like, it's like, I would love to be signed to a record label with a good deal that allows me to be able to, have creative control over stuff, but then it still gets distributed really well, and that a lot of people get their eyes on it, and the audience that wants to listen to my music can listen to it.
Mhm.
But at the same time, like, that's not the world I live in.
Yeah.
So instead, we're doing stuff like this.
Yeah.
And like I now I'm taking more initiative into learning how to record things myself, and acquiring gear, and learning how to write songs myself, and learning how to perform them, and just
Mhm.
I gotta be my own ambassador.
Yeah.
Like I don't care. I don't care about what Hollywood who Hollywood chooses to give roles to.
Yeah.
You know, like I mean, representation is important for sure, but like I'm not gonna put that much energy into screaming on Twitter about it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And there's a certain point where I think you realize, like, no one else is going to do this. Like, I don't have anyone else who's going to do this for me.
Right.
Whereas, growing up, especially, I mean, we were both pretty privileged growing up.
Right.
Like, people have your back at all times. But then if there are things you want to do, like this, no one's going to do it but you. And the rest of the world really has nothing to do with it until you make it.
And you do need help from people. That's for sure. You can't do everything alone.
Yeah.
But you need to take the initiative yourself.
Right.
And you need to reach out to people yourself. And you need to, you can't wait for things to happen to you. You can't wait for change to come. But also you have to go about it the right way and make sure that the energy that you do expend, it's used effectively.
Yeah. Otherwise, you run out of time.
Right.
Yeah. You don't
Exactly.
finish it.
It's like I've heard. This is when I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast. He had this guy on who's a free speech activist and has been for probably like half a century. Like I don't know, like 40 years or something like that. Like but because I remember like he's like on the Donahue show, which is like in the late 80s, early 90s. Like this guy's been around for a while fighting for free speech. But one thing he said was when he first joined, they said, social activism isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. And then he said, I'll go a step further and say it's not just a marathon, but a relay race. You pass from one generation onto the other. Like, to think that we could see police reform within a year, like a protesting is a little naive. Yeah. I mean, it's hard. It's very hard because there's so many forces at play.
Yeah. It's a little disappointing that it has taken, I mean, it's spanned like 3 generations now or whatever.
And there's been protesting since before this last summer,
Yeah.
I mean, there's been shit that's been wrong since the beginning of this country.
Yeah.
But it is a relay.
Yeah. I hope that we, the civil rights movement was a long time ago, and I hope that our progress is moving faster than the last, since then.
Things are getting better, I think,
I hope so.
overall.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, but also, you have, 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Yeah. Yeah, we just had a couple steps back over the past couple of years.
I mean, it just the thing that bothers me the most is the way people talk to each other on social media.
Yeah.
Because there's like people that I consider friends that, even people who are friends on Facebook, and obviously Facebook friends is not the same thing as real friends.
Right.
But like, these are people that you have at least kind of known in person. You have seen them with your eyes at least to friend them on Facebook. And you're saying that they're stupid and ignorant and misinformed, and you're just going to throw that at them and expect them to see the reality that you see.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to change anybody's mind. You're not going to make the world better by spreading hate.
There's got to be some sort of reward,
right?
Like chemically that people are getting from just.
I mean, it takes a lot of humility to change your mind, and that's not a skill that everybody has.
Yeah.
But I mean, you got to try to cultivate that skill. You got to try to teach that to.
And you have to give someone the opportunity to do so. And if you are immediately aggressive, you're not giving them that opportunity.
And I mean, I think it also can come down to respect a little bit.
Oh,
like if you're, you can be ignorant and you can be misinformed, but still be respected as an individual, like someone who, there's so many people have so many different experiences.
Yeah.
And that's going to inform the way that they view the world.
Yep.
So, It just really bothers me. Like I mean, it's like people that I've like when Trump got elected, the day after the election, I saw people like, if you voted for Trump, unfriend me. And it's like, okay,
Well,
but there's
there goes your chance of like trying to improve the world.
and I'll just put this out here now. I voted for Hillary Clinton and
Yeah,
I
me
voted
as
for
well.
Joe Biden. Like that's where I stand. But I'm not gonna condemn people that vote on the other side of
Yeah,
it's the whole South Park choosing between a shit sandwich and a what was the other one?
I don't know.
It was
I don't remember.
choosing between the shiniest of two turds.
Yeah, and
They're all corporate whores.
yeah, definitely. But also, like, even if they weren't, and one was clearly the better, if one was literally, it was guaranteed that they would create a utopia, and the other one was guaranteed that they would create a dystopia, and someone votes for the dystopian one, even in that circumstance, I don't think the post saying I'm unfriending you if you voted for that person, I don't think that's productive in any way.
Yeah.
It's just lazy.
Yeah. I mean,
To me.
it's like it can be like virtue signaling or whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to judge people, but like, I'm not going to judge people either way because I get it, like it sucks. Like, obviously you were like clearly, I mean, my girlfriend is, pansexual and like, like a lot of Republican policies like very negatively affect her. And we live in Iowa, which has religion influencing the policy of certain like healthcare providers, and that's awful. Like for some people, that's all they can get, especially like Mercy One. Like birth control is used for more than just birth control. It helps like regulate hormones. It can make periods less painful. And, like there's so many things, and like religion really doesn't have a place in the medical scientific field.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So, I mean, yeah. I mean, all that stuff trickles down, like, having Betsy DeVos, like that's Trump cabinet member, that does affect things, that does have real ripple effects. But when it comes to the individuals who, may be influenced by these things, like they're not awful people just for voting for someone, like because you cannot see the whole picture of what's going on.
Yeah, and there's like, I think that free will is real, but also there's a reason they made the decision.
Right.
And if you truly care about, the betterment of society, instead of canceling them, get down to why they did it.
Right.
And see if you can help to, if you truly think that your way is the right way, then fundamentally show them that.
Right. Yeah, it's just, to me, it's like, what can you do that's productive? Yeah. That's really the only thing. It's like, is this productive to, reduce an individual to, whatever group they may fall into?
I think we just saw that reducing human beings to, belittling them and their views causes them to violently react.
Right.
And like, who knew? What did you expect? Like,
yeah. I'm not gonna pretend that I'm on a high horse or anything like that. Like I don't have solutions. That's not my thing.
I think we do actually. I think what we've been talking about with human connection and communication.
Right.
Ultimately.
Communication is. For me, it's super important. It's a big part of my life, and that's why I'm an extrovert in some ways. I think I'm more of a slow to warm extrovert because I'm careful about, how what I say is going to be interpreted by certain people. And if I know that you're going to take what I'm saying the right way or how I intend it, then I'm more likely to be open around you.
Right.
But at first, I got to be kind of cautious.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm also very extroverted.
Hmm.
So, like, that's one thing I've noticed during COVID is that I get a lot of energy from being in a room with people and like seeing people.
Me
like,
too,
yeah.
actually. And I think I'm like, well, I initially thought I was like super introverted,
Mm-hmm.
but then this all happened, and especially not being able to have like a ton of people over all the time,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, dang, it sucked the life out of me.
Yeah.
Like, I really did rely on that.
Mm-hmm.
I value my time alone a lot, but
Right.
yeah.
I need to talk to people. Otherwise, I'm
Yeah.
just in my own head, and I don't
Yeah.
like that. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I
a
like being
scary
in my
place.
own head. I like my imagination and all
Yeah.
that, but like, I mean, if I stay there forever, I'm gonna go crazy.
Yep.
I need other influences to,
Yep.
bounce ideas off of.
Yeah.
Kind of like,
take the edge off.
is this how you view the world? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Like,
Yeah.
I need something to gauge that off of. If
Mhm.
I'm alone, then it's just, I go hog wild.
Yeah.
So-
Oh yeah. There's nothing to check your insanity.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I don't know. I could rant about that stuff forever because I see it every day when I'm, like in some degree of like
Mhm.
people who don't communicate well. And I just like, I don't know. Like, is it because you just want to feel better about yourself to put other people down? Is it that
I
like
don't know.
tall poppy syndrome kind of thing? Like, I don't know. I just like, I don't know. Maybe I'm pretty secure in who I am, so I
Yeah.
don't necessarily feel that desire to put other people down. If anything, I want to. If I think someone's wrong, I want to. Well, first of all, I'm curious
Yeah,
as to how
yeah.
they view things. Like, I want to see what their worldview is, and then I want to kind of pick it apart. Like, I like kind of debating things with people because
Mhm.
it means, oh, this person sees the world differently. Like, maybe there's something I can learn. Maybe
Yeah.
there's something like maybe my worldview needs some readjusting as well,
Mhm.
and maybe they, like their view will challenge my worldview, and then if we discuss, I mean, I don't like mean spirited discussions, but I like fun kind of back and forth where we both understand that like there's maybe not a succinct answer to everything,
Right.
and so you can kind of go back and forth, ebb and flow, and then eventually like both of your ideas get better because you're able to defend them.
Yeah.
You know.
Or alternatively, and this really only occurs if both people are humble and open-minded, but occasionally one argument folds just
Mhm.
because a discussion happens and you realize, oh wait, one of these isn't working out.
Right.
And I think that's what we need in order to, like, you can't just assume that people think the same way you do because they obviously don't. So it takes a good amount of discussion to really work that out for some people, even if it's something that you assume that everyone shares the same opinion on, you know?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. I mean, I've spent a lot of time like reflecting on myself,
mm-hmm,
judging myself, picking apart, my own brain.
mm-hmm,
And so I'm at a point now where I'm kind of comfortable with that. Like, so when you do that to yourself and you really investigate yourself and become introspective, I think you become a lot more forgiving of other people.
yeah,
Um,
I agree.
and it is like the whole Christian golden rule kind of thing. I mean, not just Christian, but
Most most moral authority, what am I moral what do you call that thing that people subscribe to?
ideologies.
Yeah.
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 I don't know, something like that. Like, yeah, no, it's like the golden rule, like treat others as you want to be treated, or
Yeah.
like, I mean, like turn the other cheek,
Mhm.
love thy enemy.
Interesting how
Like-
everyone arrives at the same conclusion
Right.
as far as that's concerned.
Right. I mean, yeah, viewing, I mean, even like the most heinous people, like I still look at Hitler and think like that was a
How did that
that was a dude, like that
Yeah.
was a person, that was an infant.
Right.
He wanted to go to art school. I don't
Uh-huh.
know. That means something, right? Like,
Yeah.
like
no.
I mean, he could have. There could be an alternate universe where Hitler became like a famous painter,
Yeah.
and maybe had some like really awful views, like say Wagner or something like that.
Yeah.
But like he wasn't, he wasn't making the Holocaust happen.
Yeah.
Like he was just making art.
Yeah.
Like I
He was
don't know.
He was just another bigot in the world.
There's all kinds of avenues that life could have taken, like alternate universes,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
different decisions or different decisions from other people, like say if they'd accepted him into art school, and I mean his style was not what they were looking for at the time. But I mean it wasn't awful,
Yeah.
It wasn't like dog shit art. I mean it looked like what he was trying to paint.
Yeah.
Like yeah, so I mean just like that stuff's interesting,
Or in his case, if an alternate universe where like one or two people genuinely like tried to talk to him about things that he thought at a formative age, because
Right.
at a certain point you're done.
Right.
You are who you are.
Right.
Well, in his circumstance, for a personality like that, I
Right.
think. But yeah, with following that anecdote, that just to me makes it seem even more important to
change
not
people's
just
minds,
block people.
Right.
It's important to talk to them about those things.
Because then those people go, like if you don't let people discuss, I don't know. I mean, censorship is a tough issue.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pretend to have any answers on these things, but
Mhm.
I do think that, I mean, what will happen if you keep those people from getting those ideas, airing those ideas out in public, like they're just going to go to more niche communities where they're in echo chambers of the same ideas. And that's only going to create groupthink, which is going to make those ideas more radical and worse. And then eventually, those communities will get more and more followings. And then you'll get, I don't know, like that makes the problem worse in some ways.
Mhm.
So free speech is a very important issue in America. And, I mean, again,
Sure.
I don't have a lot of these answers, but I
We're
think
very prideful people.
I think these viewpoints need to be considered.
Yeah.
That it's not gonna blocking certain platforms is not a solution.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a long-term solution.
Yeah, you can't, especially for Americans.
Right.
If you want to be productive, you can't attack anyone's pride. Otherwise, it's game over.
Right.
Nothing's gonna get done.
Yeah, especially
is so
especially for people like that are very dogmatic, very set in their beliefs, very confirmation biased, like don't want to accept that they may be wrong or that their worldview is based on propaganda or a distorted reality. Like, I mean, I think we're both people that question things that they believe a lot and are interested in other ideas and other views about the world, and that makes us more likely to be open-minded.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's the majority of people that are open-minded. So
Yeah.
I mean, if you attack someone's pride, then you just make them double down on whatever they believe and think, well, you're being an asshole to me, so why would I believe you?
Yeah.
Because I mean, you got to have trust in someone to believe what they're saying.
Mhm.
And, if you're treating them like they're trash, they're not going to trust what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, I think we fleshed out this thing pretty well, but
Mhm.
it's just, I get frustrated with that.
Yeah, me too. Luckily, the edge has been taken off with administration. But
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I mean, Trump really did change things, man.
Mhm.
He changed the political game.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I could remember this guy's name, but he was at like a rally during one of the primaries. I forget if he was. I think he was a Democrat. Maybe he might have been Republican. I don't remember. This was like during the 2004 elections, I believe. But he was like, yeah, he did that.
Oh yeah.
He did that during that, and like that ruined his campaign.
Yeah.
But like all it was is like he just
got
was, like,
excited.
He got excited, but there wasn't a crowd mic, so it sounded just dry as hell. It was just his voice going
Yeah.
and there wasn't like the noise that he was in that he experienced. But like it's like, oh, look at this crazy sound this guy made, and that ruined his campaign.
Yeah.
But like Trump says like heinous shit, and he still won.
Mm-hmm.
He still won.
Yeah.
It's a
Kinda
different
nuts.
game now.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. Hey, what's this AAA all about?
Okay, so this was like a chord progression that I came up just switching gears now.
Yeah,
Yeah, we needed
politics
to,
is dangerous with me, and I think for you,
I
because
know.
that could turn into a 6 to 7 hour podcast pretty
I
quickly.
know. And
Maybe-
it's just going to
maybe
go in
sometime.
circles and say the same shit.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think we said everything we need to say, but I do like Bernard Sanders, by the way.
Yeah, me as well.
I can proudly say that I caucused for him. I caucused for him in 2016 and did the same thing in
Me as well.
2020.
Yeah.
Too bad it didn't matter.
Yeah, unfortunately not.
But anyways, AAA is about like I'd written the chord progression like during the summer one time when I was camping with my family. And yeah, it was just like I had that chord progression for a while, and then I'd written like the first kind of verse for it, or the first couple verses, I think. And I didn't, again, just sat on that for like a year or so until summer 2019. So it would have been like summer 2018 or something like that. Maybe summer 2017. I don't remember. And then finally like finished the lyrics. And then also like wrote the bridge to it and like wrote the chorus like 2 years later. So it was like one chord progression, and then I was able to finally like add the other two parts.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. That's just how it happens sometimes. Like kind of like,
Yeah.
I mean, anymore now I'm a little bit more focused on one thing at a time or a
Yeah.
couple things at a time. But like that was when I was like trying to figure out how to complete a song. So I had a lot
Yeah.
of material that wasn't finished. AAA comes from, I mean, just AAA's been there to save my ass like a couple times.
Yeah.
And I just like that kind of idea, is using that as like a metaphor for, like friends who are there to help you out, or maybe that other side, the other voice in your head that's a little more positive and a little more reassuring, that can help you kind of find some motivation, get back up on your feet.
Yeah.
And I guess like the first couple lines are maybe a little bit hard to understand, but like I always thought my reflection was a funhouse mirror in the lake, but all is still in this evergreen evening, leaving mean old me in my way. I want to hear what your thoughts are on that first before I explain what I think.
There's probably a couple different ways to take it. I think Funhouse Mirror is tricky, but to me, that's a humility thing. That's like, if you're looking at your reflection and it looks like a funhouse mirror, it's like, oh, I look goofy,
Mhm.
you know? Or, I mean, goofy doesn't have to be bad. It could be like fun.
Mm-hmm.
But all is still in this evergreening evening, leaving mean old me in my way. Okay, so I think the funhouse mirror is was a time of youth and maybe like still having fun with yourself, but when it's still, you just see you for who you are,
Mm-hmm.
and you start to get sort of stagnant, or I mean, still water.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's generally kind of what I intended.
Hmm.
I was thinking more like funhouse mirror being a distortion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, oh, you know,
Dysmorphia.
yeah, like that's not me. Like,
Hmm.
you know, and then like something for me also like being in nature, you
Mm.
know, and like, you know, especially like on a nice day during the summer. Like I've had some great like camping trips and like
Mhm.
backpacking trips and like trips, you know, to like just this last summer to Maine, my
Mhm.
family's cabin, you know, and you're just there's something about when you're really immersed in nature that like feels like a sense of clarity.
Mhm.
And there's something in that that helps you reflect on yourself more. And also looking at like a still lake, you get a more accurate representation of your reflection than when it's turbulent.
Yeah.
And there's something else. Like, I always thought my reflection was a funhouse mirror in the lake. To me, it seems like, you know, like my reflection is a version of myself, but it's not who I am.
Mhm.
And it's like now all is still, and it's like, oh, now I have to face some of these ugly truths about myself that I didn't want to necessarily. So it
Yeah.
makes me kind of reflect a little bit about like some things I need to fix.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So mean old self is I mean, it is sort of a bad thing, but
Mhm.
it's a recognition of not being perfect.
Right.
Okay. Hmm.
Also, I really like the harmony on this one. I'm proud of it. I mean, it's just like this is like after my like first year or so of learning jazz guitar, so it's all, you know,
Lots of 2/5s, eh?
yeah. And especially with guitar, just you just
Hmm.
yeah. That's fun.
We're getting up there. It's been over 3.5 hours. I think we'll probably wrap it up after this tune. Is there
Okay.
anything else you'd like to talk about or say before we?
Mhm. Yeah, I think this is probably one of my more positive songs. Where it's like, I mean, it can be. I like framing it as like a talk addressing you, but also like, you know, in writing it addressing myself.
Hmm.
But I think doing that helps make it accessible for other people because I'm also like trying to help encourage other people, you know. And I mean, I talk to myself too a lot, especially when I'm alone, just because I like talking to myself because there's something about that process of putting thoughts to speech that helps kind of materialize them a bit more.
Yeah.
So I mean, part of that kind of like there's like I always like there's different sides of your own internal thought process. I think mostly like, you know, the whole devil and the angel on your shoulder, kind of like, you know, there's or like left brain, right brain kind of thing. So like this is, you know, more optimistic me talking to pessimistic me, or like some like, you know, maybe like trying to pull myself out of a like depression or something like that.
Finding some sort of balance.
Right. And like kind of like, hey, come on, like, you know, quit being so mopey. Kind of like,
yeah.
yeah,
We can all use that.
right. So I think that's why I wanted to kind of end this stream with that because it's just a positive note, and I think, you know, it's catchy and just leave on a good note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, remind me one more time. We're playing on Sunday? Is that right? Next Sunday.
I think so.
All right.
I mean, yeah.
I'll
Get the word
whatever.
out for sure.
Yeah.
We just have to confirm some things with other people.
Yeah.
But it'll, yeah.
Well,
This has been a fun podcast, by the way.
yeah.
I'm excited to see where this goes in the future.
Yeah, same. I'm excited. I'm actually really excited to work through my first cycle of guests and then have people back again.
Yeah.
Once we've sort of done it, and once I've done it enough, because I'm still like, I kind of just talk. Like I have 8 notes, and otherwise it's just kind of talking and figuring stuff out. So
Are there any questions that you want to ask me before we end this?
no, we got to everything and more that
Nice.
I had like prepared.
Nice,
So
nice.
prepared.
Maybe let's see if I have any questions. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, the quest for why.
Mhm.
That's you're looking for some more kind of profound truths, I guess. You want to explore, but like, what's your what are your goals for this podcast?
Well, the quest for why came after the idea of the actual podcast. Initially, it was just have my friends who make original music on, and they play, and we talk about the stuff we always talk about when we're just like chilling, which is existentialism, politics, psychology, stuff like that. So that was the original idea, and then I decided if it's going to be a thing, should probably sort of put a name to it and put a goal to it. Otherwise, well, I mean, we're still talking for almost 4 hours.
Right.
But at least it's not. There's some sort of focus to it.
Right.
And I guess the focus was just what I had been thinking about lately, which is why do we do anything? Especially considering like what I want to do with my life. What's the point in playing in a symphony?
Right.
What's the point in teaching people music if it's just,
Right. If it's
I don't know.
seemingly arbitrary.
Right. Yeah. And especially in times of like uncertainty, it's easy to question like what the point of things is, and it's really nice to hear what other people have to say about it. So I'm not at that point right now, but I have been there, and I think a lot of people, particularly musicians, have been there or are there right now, because obviously it's a pretty tough time for the industry. So I think it's kind of a worthwhile goal. Plus, I just get to hang out with people and talk about the stuff I like to talk about.
Yeah.
So, and hear music. Like, I mean, it's sort of a substitute for the house concerts.
Yeah.
In a way, but a little more personal. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I think this was I mean, I liked last week too, but this is fun because we're in person.
Yeah. I'd love to have. We're gonna have a couple virtual people during this thing, but I'd love to have as many like in person as possible.
I'm excited
as
for
it's
next
safe.
week too.
Yeah.
I might have some questions to ask Clayton. So
Yeah.
All right.
I'm happy to have them.
Thanks all for listening.
Yeah. Shout out to those who have made it this entire time.
Yeah.
We've fluctuated between 4 and I think 11 is what I saw.
Nice. And I'm sure more people will listen to this after it's recorded. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this last one is called AAA. Please enjoy. I don't have. The only recorded music that I've played on is Big Oak on Spotify and all that stuff. So all streaming services, check that out if you want to do that. It's not the cleanest recording, but I'm still proud of it. We did it all in high school, so yeah, AAA. I always thought my reflection was a fun house mirror in the lake, but all is still in this evergreen and evening, leaving mean old me in my way.
your face so twisted, and your eyes like foggy glass? Did you get too hot in all that fever dreaming? Now you're stuck with your ass in the grass. So tell me how you got here. Collect up all your wives. I know you're scared, but trust me, we'll get there. If you can find a light. Of course it's hard to find it when you fight everything you know. But you can't get too far with no one left around to hook you up with gas in tow. So send me your location, and I'll be sure to bring the supplies. I know you're scared, but trust me, we'll get there. Just take my hand and hold it tight. With all these monsters running around, you wanna give it all up, but don't make a sound, 'cause everything you've got just needs to grow. So as that noise starts rumbling loud, just bundle up butt and stick into the ground. You've got to stick around for the show. Not far off in the distance is a place where we can reside. I know you're scared, and I can almost taste it. So let us give another try. Just pump the gas and ride.
Yeah.
Awesome. We done?
Yeah. Thanks for chilling and chatting and jamming.
Yeah,
I'll have to do it again.
that was fun.
All right. Bye-bye, chat. Good night. See you, Donovan. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next week. I believe it's Wednesday at I think 7 or 7:30. We're gonna do Clayton, and Friday night at 8 or 9, I think we're gonna do Run Wilson. So
Nice.
yeah, it's gonna be a fun week. And then probably the following Sunday will be the Dungeon Masters.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a packed week.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a lot of fun though. All right. Thanks again. Good night.